show flex. I'm glad we made contact. My nigga also know this shit for combat.
Internets. Welcome to another episode of the podcast called Talkitecture. I always say that, we've got a special episode for y'all, but today's episode is truly one of those special moments, one of those times where I'm just so proud to be a podcaster and be part of this wave and this movement of really taking what the greatness of radio is and being able to give it to people anytime, anywhere, any day they want to listen to it. And I mean that's all a podcast is, really. All right, it's just a piece of radio. It's a piece of audio, and you listen to it whenever you're ready to hear it. You know, you could be, in the bathroom taking a crap. You could be driving your kids to work. You could be doing whatever it is you do. But it's those times when you can devote yourself to listening to something that you find enjoyable. Mm-hmm. Now, the podcast game, as you know it, as you come to know it, was real dry. When I say dry, I mean like shit was extra corn. Like when I first got into podcasting, it was mostly white cats.
Shout out to Peter Rosenberg.
But did you know it was podcasting? I don't think.
No, I mean it was podcasting. It was podcasting. It was that's what it was called.
Okay.
I mean, people had iPods and people created these digital files, these digital audio files, and
how many black people you think knew that it was podcasting?
Exactly.
I think enough black people knew it was podcasting.
Especially the corny part.
Enough black people knew it was podcasting, but the black people that knew it was podcasting, other than myself, was like dun-dun-duns. Was real like Corn Wallace, like Corn Huskers. Like real Corn Crunch, like Captain Corn Crunch. That was who was doing podcasting. They were like extra brrr. So and I tried it, man. I tried it and it was difficult. It was difficult to record, to edit, to produce an episode all by myself. It just was tiresome. So, I mean, after about a dozen episodes, man, I left it alone. One, I didn't know if anybody was listening. And two, it just felt like a grind, too much of a grind with all the other things that I had my hands in. And, down the road, I'd meet A. King. And me and A. King talked about starting a radio show. After
you curved me a few times.
I did, because you were a hype beast, and you would approach me like at SOBs and like different venues like where hype beasts coming.
Well, I saw you on Internet Celebrities on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know you was from New York initially.
Okay.
So when I see you out and about, I'm like, oh shit, that's the dude I used to see on YouTube. But then, approaching you wasn't the easiest. And
plus, Internet. If you ever go into a hip hop show,
love story, bro.
If you ever go into a hip hop show in New York, and you go to a venue like SOBs, there's a certain type of cat that hangs out.
It wasn't SOBs though.
There's a certain type of cat that hangs out. But I'm telling people about the certain type of cat you are that hangs out at the end of a show at SOBs, shaking people's hands.
That was for a purpose at the time. So
I know. But you just be outside the door, letting people flow through you, shaking hands, and I'm just like, man, who is this guy, man? Knows everybody, shakes mad hands, whatever. But we finally did get together, and you guys, we've told you the story 1,000 times. Man, listen, I bring Reggie with me to hear A. King's spiel, and basically, I mean, what A. King wants to do is dope. It's dope. It's classic radio, but I mean, PNC at the time was zero budget. And I mean, who could afford to commit that kind of time to a zero budget project? None of us could. So it had to get put on the back burner. But we kept in contact with you, King. PNC allowed us to do a Bring Your Own Blogger barbecue, which, we were able to kind of solidify our community and really let people know, like, these are the movers and shakers. These are the guys that are aggregating the new content. Yes. These are the guys that are really moving the needle on the internets. And I think with that synergy, we knew we had at least a base community, someone to talk to. And then when PNC's station manager, what I guess we call him the general manager?
I guess he's the owner.
The owner, okay, the owner.
Mr. Norman.
And Reggie got together. I think they had an afternoon on Long Beach. Kim, you could remind me. Were you there with that?
I actually brokered that whole thing.
You actually brokered that. Okay. Did Reggie have on chancletas and jorts? That's been the argument. The argument is he was wearing jorts.
No idea.
Okay, you don't remember. Okay, I'm gonna say though, for the record, in my mind, Reggie had on chancletas.
No.
Okay, he was feeling very
Toes out.
summerish.
No.
He was feeling because this was on Long Beach now too. Yeah, Long Beach is classy now. Long Beach is not for games. You got to pay to get on Long Beach unless you live on Long Beach. You got to pay to get on the beach. So you can't. You don't just go to Long Beach as no bum. You go to Long Beach official. Long Beach is where I go to see spot fake Kim Kardashians running up and down the boardwalk. I mean, if you want to see them in the bikinis, bro. So Kim basically brokers the deal that opens up the door for the Combat Jack show to be.
So if it wasn't for Kim, you wouldn't even be here, technically.
No, I would be here. I just would not be here.
I became friends with his girlfriend, Alex's girlfriend, and so it was my birthday. We went to the beach on my birthday. And,
Wait a minute. More backstory. More backstory.
Well, the interesting thing, because like you said, it was I guess you would say 12 months between the barbecue and maybe less than that.
About that.
Deciding to actually do the thing. And I remember Reg hit me like that night of, I guess, after the beach situation, and he said, yo, I got the green light. I'm like, what? And he's like, we'll talk more in the morning. And I'm like, and then I had to wait to get the story. And he's like, yo, you went on the beach. You had a little outing.
I did not. I had never heard this part of the backstory, though.
Yeah.
See? Good. I'm glad that we have a Kim right now with us. Good to see you, Kim. Good to see you. Good to see you. So what begins to change the entire landscape of podcasting starts at PNC. All right. Just Blaze in the building. So the landscape of what we know as podcasting had this dramatic shift because a podcast came in as a radio show. All right, radio is the classic medium. You know, we're driving to work and we listen to Starr and Buckwild. You know, or Howard Stern, or I don't know if you're old enough, Wolfman Jack. I don't know how old you are. If you do remember Wolfman Jack, you are fucking old though. You're about to die.
Didn't Dr. Ruth have a show on the radio?
I used to love to listen to Dr. Ruth.
What's the pranksters, the Italian pranksters? They had a spot on some on a
Jerky Boys?
Yeah.
I don't think they had a show.
No, they didn't have a show, but they had a segment on late night Z100 or something like that.
Okay. All right, but I mean, again, classic radio. And classic radio could transport you to a place while you were in whatever reality you were in. And that's what the Combat Jack show did. The Combat Jack show brought people into the space, and it recounted moments. It gave great backstory. It gave great information to moments in time that we had never known before. And it really contextualized hip-hop. You know what I mean? It made it 3D and not just simply something that you listened to or you watched or maybe even put on your back, but it was something that you literally lived. And you remembered that moment. You remembered where you were when you experienced it. You remember where you were when you caught that feeling. That was kind of my hope for tonight. That you know, it's just been such a quick year since Reggie passed, and I just wanted to bring back a feeling that he helped give us, and it's missing, frankly. I mean, I try to recreate it on the Talkitecture podcast, but all the pieces aren't there, you know. And you know, I'm gonna continue to reconfigure.
Plus, you got suspended too, so.
Yeah, I mean,
well, you suspended yourself.
Let's just say that all the pieces aren't there. So, internets, really quick. I'd like us to have a moment of silence for our dearly departed brother, Reggie Osse. All right, so back to this Talkitecture podcast. Listen to who we got sitting with us tonight.
Yep.
All right, we got the irrepressible exec producer, A-King. Exec producer in name only, okay? Because whenever I be asking him to do some heavy shit, he fucking disappears.
Yep.
All right. We got one of the Talkitects here, Haitian Miguel.
You.
Okay. We got a former Combat Jack show. Well, I mean, not a former. Still a Combat Jack show member.
Yep.
He's just busy traveling to Mars in Uranus.
Blood mercy.
Ayo. And then we got another Combat Jack show member, just back from Hollywood.
Just Braids.
We got Just Blaze and Just Braids. Benhameen, DJ Benhameen. How you been, Benhameen? No. You're not supposed to speak. Remember, we didn't give you a mic on that complex shit either, did we?
Oh, yeah, he had a mic.
Oh, we had a mic?
Yeah, he had a mic.
I had a mic, and he was my counterpart, so he had.
Well,
Damn.
yeah.
I thought we muted Benhameen's.
When he was filling in for me, y'all didn't give him a mic.
Nah, I think we muted. I think anytime he talked, it got muted. It got put on mute. Nah, good to see you, Ben. Good to see you back from Hollywood, man. Doing Hollywood stuff. Cut your mustache off. Oh shit.
I knew something was missing.
Oh shit.
It looked like weird CGI.
Oh shit.
Like
Damn.
CGI mouth. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't think of what it was. Yeah, he got a Superman mouth. Pause.
Fam cut his mustache.
God, that was terrible.
All right, you've heard Akim, but our super special guest tonight is Chuma Osse, Reggie's oldest son.
Yo.
Chuma, what's going on, brother?
What's going on? Happy to be here.
Yeah. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you guys.
Now,
you all growed up.
Good to be on the mic again.
Yeah.
Last time I was on the mic was 4 years ago
What?
for the J. Cole episode.
No, that wasn't 4 years ago, bro.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
2014.
Wow.
Guys, man.
Yeah.
18th birthday party or present. Yeah.
Dig it.
That's a long time ago.
Classic.
Yeah,
Dig
classic episode.
Time does fly, though. Time does fly.
Sir.
So tell me, in that window of 4 years, tell me what Chuma's been up to.
What I've been up to? I was at college for a little bit. Didn't really work out. Making a lot of music.
Okay.
I go by I Don't Know Him now. When I rap and sing, still producing a little bit. Taking care of the fam. Brought my mom with me. Want her to be here with me. And yeah, I'm good. Living life. Turn 22 next month.
Wow.
Figuring stuff out, Yeah, happy to be here.
Chuma, it does not stop.
No, it doesn't.
Does not stop.
Nope.
No,
It does not stop. I'm glad you took the time to come and see us.
Of course. Thank you for
I
having
mean,
me.
this last year, I can't imagine, what you've had to go through mentally on a personal level. I mean, I lost my dad, but I lost my dad when I was much older than you.
Yeah.
And I still think of all the times that I wish I would have said something to him, that he was right, or I do even exult in the moments that I realize that, oh shit, he had got this thing wrong.
Yeah.
But man, he's not even around for me to even bother him about that.
Yeah.
So,
Honestly, I feel like I said everything I needed to say to my dad so far. I mean, when he passed, I don't really feel like just the relationship we had, we just would always talk about everything. So
yes. Yeah.
I don't really, that's something I'm grateful for,
Yes.
is that I don't feel like I missed out the chance on telling him anything.
Yeah.
Like I would always tell him how I felt about what he was doing, about anything, So I'm actually very grateful for that fact,
Y'all did ride hard too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. That's rare.
Yeah.
Y'all did ride hard, man. Y'all did ride hard. And I will tell you this too. I mean, the truth is you're just gonna go for the rest of your life and he's gonna speak to you.
Yeah.
And talk back.
Yeah.
Talk back. Talk back. He will speak
I see
to
it
you.
every day, honestly.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So tell me about music, man. Are you a Kid Cudi fan now?
Of
me
course.
and you.
I mean, I've been a Kid Cudi
No.
fan.
I'm telling you, this is true with me and you personally. You did not like Kid Cudi. When I
No?
was fucking with Kid Cudi,
That's not true. My dad didn't like Kid Cudi.
you
I was
sided
ma-
with your dad. You was like, yeah, Kid Cudi.
I may have said that, but Kid Cudi's like one of my biggest inspirations.
Thank you.
Ever.
Thank you. Okay.
Ever.
Kid Cudi's not a bad dude.
No.
I mean,
He's one of
whatever
the
he's
goats.
going through, but talent wise, he's a good dude.
One of the goats for me.
Yeah, dope. Okay.
I've been producing for a while, and then a few years ago, I just started writing and wanting to try out this artistry thing. So I came up with a name for myself. I don't know him. IDK him. And yeah, I've just been trying out different styles, using a lot of auto-tune.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was listening when I started making recording my voice. I was listening to a lot of early Travis Scott, like before he was popping, and like, you know, obviously Kanye and Cudi. That's like my trifecta.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I've just been sort of fostering that. It's been like 3 years in the making, sort of. I'm about to drop my first mixtape on Thursday, 12/20, which is the 1 year anniversary of my father's passing.
Today.
Yeah, today.
It's coming out, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, right,
this
today.
is being broadcast 12/20.
So it's out. So go bump that. It's on everything: Apple Music, Google Play, YouTube, Tidal, Spotify. It's called Who Cares, Who Cares. Yeah, so you want me to go into the idea of the project?
Of course. Get us hype.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, my dad sort of helped me in the beginning stages of it last year. It was around the time when, like, I got to a point where I felt like he actually started respecting what I was doing, which was pretty cool. I mean, he's always supported me in music, but, like, this was around this time last year, he was, like, into it. Like, I was showing him early videos that I was working on. He was, like, trying to get me in touch with Adam 22 to premiere some shit, and that eventually happened. But yeah, this was around the time when he was actually messing with what I was doing. Like, he actually wanted to start managing me around this time.
And I have a story, quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
To add, I don't know if you knew this, but I remember you just started getting traction like on Fader and Complex. Well, I think it was Fader, and he was so proud. And like, I remember we was on the phone. No, we was texting each other, and he's like, "Yo," I probably started the text message, and he's like, "Yo, we got to activate management for Chuma." And I'm like, what, like, that's your son, bro.
Yeah,
like,
what do you want to do?
That's it. That's easy. You know? So I said that to say that he was super proud. You know, of you know, some young guys, they might get into hip hop and they might just fall back and say, I'm not gonna do this. But he definitely appreciated your dedication to it.
Yeah, I mean, I was initially a producer first. So, like, I started making music, like,
and he would always say, "Oh, I don't want my kids doing."
Yeah,
this
so like
music
I
shit."
started producing in 5th grade, and so like that was always like my thing. Like, I was producing a lot, and then when I started trying to like rap and sing or be an artist, because I don't even like categorize myself as a rapper or a singer or whatever, he was always like, "Okay, but like I don't really want you to do that. Like, you know, this industry's very cutthroat, as Drake says, you know." But, you know, as time went on and as I continued to prove to him that I wasn't going to stop doing this, you know, he started, you know, he came around and he actually started, you know, messing with my art, which is pretty sick. But back to the origin, I guess, of this tape. I mean, with everything that happened in the past year, it contains a few things. One, I was making a lot of like Cudi sad songs, and so I wanted to make some hype songs that people could party to in like New York City freeze or whatever, because I felt like my stuff didn't really like have that effect yet. So I started just focusing on doing that, making like, I guess like more mainstream stuff, just more, you know, with the auto-tune and with the trap leaning stuff, but also just adding an IDK him twist onto it. And I mean, my dad saw that and was messing with it, and then when he passed, I just like was going through this, or I guess I still am like sort of going through this thing where it's like, you know, you never really know like how many people like actually care about what you're going through, or like even like you just don't really know how much people care, you know, in general. And so it was like I was going through a period where it was like, you know, do I have people there for me? Like, people say they're here for me, but they're not really. Like, they say they're here to, like, you know, come for me or whatever, but then when push comes to shove, like, they're not actually. But then I went through this second phase, which is, like, the second part of the project, which is, like, so it's who cares, ? Who cares, period. And so that's the part where I was like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like if you're there for me or not, because like at the end of the day, like I got to be there for myself and my family. So that's sort of a little bit about the project. I mean, I didn't really go like content-wise. I didn't really go that into it. I'm saving that for like the debut album. But that's just sort of like the context in which I was like framing this project with the help of like my dad in the early stages.
Dig it. So you kind of came to a power through resolution.
Yeah.
Dope.
And I wanted to drop this today just to like commemorate the 1 year anniversary. And also just, you know, I think I said this at the funeral. He was there when I came into this world and I was there to speak when, you know, we were sending him off. So just sort of this circle of life type situation. I'm trying to, you know, get this thing off the ground, just trying to show how much I've come in the past year, how much I've grown in the past year, while reflecting on his absence, you know?
Dig it.
Yeah.
I'm always fond of telling people not to celebrate someone's homegoing, simply because in America we live through a culture of death. You know, we kind of celebrate death with war memorials, and you know, whenever someone gets blowed up, we say, "Oh, we should have a holiday like 9/11." You know, but this is one of those times where it's actually remembering that it doesn't stop.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think Reggie is gone. I think he's still here.
of course.
In the sense that the energy that he was giving us, the energy that he was trying to push forward, is still here.
Yeah.
So
Right, and then also the memorial was a celebration of life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
Absolutely. I was telling you, Kim, I was supposed to go before Reggie. And I wanted us
Stop saying that.
to
I know.
no, but I wanted us to super turn up.
Did you have a date?
I don't have a date, but I just, I mean, yeah, no. I'm just saying that when I do go, internet's for y'all to know, I want y'all to super turn up. Super turn up.
Did you actually get your toe cut off?
Yeah, I had to cut the toe off.
What was the date on that?
The date on that was July. No, it was probably August. It was like middle of August. I could go find the date, like August
Because
17th.
I think we should do a year toe
Oh, his
party.
foot.
Toe party. Toe up.
I told her.
9 toes left.
Listen.
For those who saw it on the Instagram, you can't unsee it.
Oh, I didn't peep.
Oh shit.
Look like a slice of pizza.
I'll take that. I'll take that into consideration.
That's crazy.
It looks
But-
like pizza.
But again, the point is that like, yo, don't mourn me. All right, because if I gave y'all anything, if I didn't give y'all a smile, then mourn that. But if I made you laugh, then say, man, that nigga made me laugh.
Yeah.
One time that nigga made me laugh so hard I shit myself. Like, that's the best thing someone could say about me at my funeral. Like, I peed and shit myself. He made me laugh so hard.
Cut over to me. Just what do you think of that?
Internets, stay with us real quick. Let's play a track by Chuma Osse right now.
I don't know him.
I'm sorry. I don't know him.
Yeah, I just switched.
Osse right now.
I don't know him.
I'm sorry. I don't know him.
Yeah, I just switched.
You did that beat too?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that beat. This whole tape is produced by my boy Goner. He's from New York. That's a great beat. But I just wanted to do my own production for my album.
Got it.
And underneath the auto tune too, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you really harmonizing that too.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I tried to like, take into account like how T-Pain used auto-tune, how he actually like
That's
knows what he's doing,
Right.
Like he showed he didn't need it.
Yeah.
It was just a
tool.
option. Yeah.
It's an instrument.
Yep.
Right,
People
right
don't really
inside the
understand that.
zeitgeist,
Yeah.
the current musical zeitgeist.
Yeah.
So,
You watched the
cares?
video on No Jumper. Shout out Adam22. He premiered it.
Yes.
Run that up. IDK him. Let him know.
who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Will be a journey.
Yeah. It's definitely gonna be a journey.
Will be ups and downs.
Yes.
Bet.
It's a good project. Honestly, I'm a little sick of it right now.
Sure.
I've been
you've
listening
heard
to
it
it a
over and
lot,
over, yeah.
a lot. But as they say, if you're not sick of it before you put it out, then you didn't do a good job.
Dig it.
You probably didn't work on it hard enough.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think I worked hard. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just hyped to get music out, introduce the world to who I am, to who I don't know him is. Yeah,
Dope.
it's gonna be fun.
Salute.
Internet, the artist formerly known as Chuma Osse, now
Young.com, remember that one?
Oh yeah. Right.
Dallas used to call me Young.com back in the PNC days.
Yeah.
The blogging era.
Man.
Daily mathematics.
Shit. Good to see you, my man. Good to see how you've grown, how you've matured.
Yeah, it's fun to be here. It's fun to be on the mic. It's cool.
For sure. I mean, look,
Sort
man.
of feel like my dad. I feel like this is the pose that he
you
was.
see, look, if you watching
if you see how he
him
sits.
with his hand,
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
It's cool. Full
crazy.
circle.
Yeah,
The energy is definitely in the room.
It is good to
man.
see you. It is good to see you for that.
Yes.
For that.
Good to
It
be
does
here.
not stop, internet.
Nope.
It does not stop. Oh man, so many good friends came down today to say what's up to our good brother Reggie, man. Good to see y'all. Hawaii Mike. Good to see you right there, Jeff Sledge, man. Good to see you. Carlos, Classic Materials, Life. I mean, everybody. Trish, Homegirl Trish, C Popular. I mean, I don't want to give a shout out, Felton. I don't want to give a shout out to everybody here. NYC Neef. Look like I'm going to give a shout out to everybody
Yeah,
here.
you got you, man.
All right. Everybody here. Mike over
Cue
there.
the executive.
Yeah.
Okay, he got his phone up there.
Guy in the corner over there. Creepy ass guy in the corner over there. All right, listen, everybody here, man. Listen, y'all look good. All right, it does not stop, man. Listen, we got a bunch of Combat Jack show veterans. We're gonna sit them down right now and have a minute with them. Don't go nowhere. This is Talkitecture. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, what did the jersey look like?
It was a regular jersey.
Jets was spelled in Spanish?
No, it was just
El Jets.
It was just
the
a
paint was
regular.
ironed
Hold
on.
on.
It wasn't it wasn't
Los
authentic.
Jets.
Why are we
wasn't a-
talking about a fake jersey?
It wasn't the
You're
one
not
that they
telling me
would
what
wear.
makes it fake.
Because he used to make them upset.
Wait. Did you know you were making him upset, Damon?
Yes.
No, actually, I laughed at it because I thought it was kind of corny.
He does. Yeah, I did too.
And you know what? I didn't get upset about it. Until years later when you had the radio show. And at one point,
I'm sorry if I offended you in any way. I'm sorry, but I was just saying that it was just. I was always trying to teach.
But this is what I was going.
Teaching taste has never been anyone's. No one's ever happy to receive advice about taste.
There's a difference
Period.
between advice and slander.
It wasn't slander.
It was slander when we got on the radio
Damon, did you
station.
slander Just Blaze?
Let me finish.
Did you?
When we got on the radio station, and you were on this whole tirade about you taught me how to dress.
I don't even remember that. But
Yeah, of course you don't, because you did a lot of dumb things at the time because of that ego that you had at the time.
I know, but
you were playing that role.
As we talk, let's keep it respectful.
No, I'm not being disrespectful by any means.
I'm just saying.
I'm happy to see that you're at where you're at. I'm great and secure where I'm at. So
I'm just saying, let's keep it.
But I feel like if we,
I know that there's probably some issue that I might like. Again, sometimes my method were a bit, where I would make men feel insecure, and maybe they were a bit harsh and brash. But at the end of the day, what I did see is that you did start to pay attention to real jerseys. So I feel like that advice probably helped you get to that point where you did appreciate an authentic jersey. I did see that you did.
I had
authentic
jerseys before that, though.
All right.
But I don't want to focus on the jersey. I'm focusing about the I'm just talking about the mentality that was behind that whole exchange.
I feel like I push people to excellence no matter what, and that's undisputed. You know what I mean? So like everyone that was around me, the work ethic that I instilled and the taste that I gave them is all reflected in a very positive situation for people's whole lives. The doors that were open.
So Damon, you were being positive, and you felt that Damon was being negative.
When you teach men, they don't like it sometimes how they're taught.
I love being taught. That's the only reason you learn. That's the only way that you learn.
So you were a student.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, I didn't have a
How do y'all guys meet, man? How do y'all meet?
I think hip-hop.
Yeah, it had to be hip. Yeah,
right.
Definitely had to be hip.
What'd you think of just when you first met him, man?
I thought that he was a good producer.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, he was a good executive. That's all that really mattered at the time because we were all there to, make great music and make money while doing it.
Now, what was the nature of the relationship?
I used to tease him a lot.
You used to tease him a lot.
Yeah.
The nature of the relationship was good.
Were you kind of like in a sense...
Everything that was wrong, I wanted to make right.
Right. So, in a sense, let's get some resolution here. Let's do.
I just used to be trying. I definitely used to snap a lot.
Were you like a big? Was he a big brother role in a sense?
It went from being a big brother to, okay, you're going too far.
I hurt his feelings. I'm sorry.
So it wasn't about hurt feelings. It was it wasn't about hurt feelings. But it was just you're going too far.
I'm sorry.
What was the jersey? Because listen, Dave,
I'll tell you exactly.
Los Jets. Like if it was the Winnipeg Pets, you know what I mean?
I don't know. Whatever it wasn't authentic.
All right.
That's all,
but he still hasn't defined authentic. So let's just go. Let's go past that. Let's talk about the relationship overall. Right. Because there are some positives here.
Right.
There's only some.
Yeah, there are some positives.
You know what? Let's go to a break. Let's go to a break.
If I didn't hurt people's egos,
right.
then it would be.
But it wasn't about her ego. It was like,
let's go to a break.
My thing was, why are you placing so much
let's go to a break.
this?
Let's go to a break. Internet. You're tuned into the Combat Jack Show. CombatJackShow.com.
I'm sorry.
Dame Dash in the building.
I'm talking about Just Blaze and Dave Dash's relationship. This is real.
I'm sorry.
Internet. Yo, it's so wild in here right now. Because this is how it's supposed to be.
For Christmas, for sure.
We are turned up right now.
Yeah.
For our brother Reggie Osse.
Yeah.
Yo, real quick.
Yep.
If you fucked with the OG Combat Jack Show, everybody in this room, could you just make some noise? Any kind of noise.
Yeah. They lying. They just start listening.
Nah.
Just now.
Nah. They wouldn't be here if they had just started listening.
That's true.
Hanging. I mean, even though we fed folks, even though we gave folks booze. As a matter of fact, who was the caterer, King?
Mecca's Kitchen.
Mecca's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mecca's Kitchen.
At Mecca's Kitchen on Instagram.
Just had like 4 plates.
You know, she had the salmon sliders.
You know, she hand caught those salmon with her own hands.
She dove into the
in Alaska. Yeah,
but she must have went to Maryland though, because I know she ain't go to Far Rockaway.
No, she went to Alaska.
I heard she went to Scotland.
She swam naked in Alaska to hand catch those salmon.
Okay,
she did that. The free range chicken.
Yeah.
She caught those herself.
With Brother Briss. I think Brother Briss helped her.
The chickens was just running crazy and she caught them.
Bronx wingman.
No, seriously though, Mecca's Kitchen, your food was incredible. The lemon pepper wings, just what I
didn't have any. I didn't have anything.
You didn't have anything?
I'll tell you
lemon
why.
pepper wings.
Why didn't you have anything?
Because I ate all the food?
No. Mecca is attractive.
Uh-oh.
Right, she is. And no. This is...
What, you think she put the root on the food?
No. I don't. And
you think she cooked with the root?
She's very stylish. So her top is beautiful. So...
Hey,
I was like, like, seriously, I swear this went through my mind. I was like, damn, the food looks amazing. If I eat this food, right, she looks the way she does. I eat this, I'm a stalker.
Oh my God.
For sure, my nigga.
This is you exhibiting self-control.
Absolutely. There's a restraining order in my future if I eat her food. So I'm gonna chill, B.
Good to the Me Too movement.
Good restraint.
That's one of the best.
Go to a shrink.
That was one of the best shot shootings I've ever heard.
No. Not at all, my nigga. That's
Steph Curry. That was pretty groovy, bro. That was pretty groovy.
That's the way to shoot a shot. The preemptive shot.
There you go.
The shoot down preemptive shot.
That was a vaccine shot, like right in the arm, booster.
Right.
I told her that I hit her with that. She looked at me like I was nuts.
That was like an immunization shot. You know, we also got some pizza because Italians, wherever they go, they come with pizza.
Absolutely. That could be considered racist, but I mean, at the same time, who gives a fuck?
But it's your birthday. It's your birthday also, Premium.
Absolutely.
We actually
Happy
recorded
birthday, Premium.
we're actually recording this episode on the night that it is Premium Pete's birthday.
Yes.
And Premium Pete had a dinner with his mom, his dad,
and Barbara.
You know what I mean?
Fat ass.
And his grandmother.
Whoa.
Come on. Don't diss Aunt Barbara. We fuck with Aunt Barbara.
He shows twerking videos on Instagram with Aunt Barbara, though.
Nah.
Your Aunt Barbara makes twerking videos?
King, let me tell you something. I invited King to my house.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yo, he came with Tupperware.
No, I did not. Yo, this dude is terrible. Actually, there was somebody that was with me.
So you brought somebody with Tupperware?
Listen, they had their own mission. You know what I mean? So
Actually, speaking of combat, do you remember when we were at the house and we had the birthday cake for him, and it was like a resort in Jersey with a pool and nobody wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I remember that my aunt cooked everything. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it was a special moment because it was like a getaway. It was far out in Jersey. All of us are like city guys,
What, that house like an hour away?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah, the mission.
That's a just because, he's always been supportive of me, but he's just a little late, but he's always supportive.
I'm always late, but I'm always supportive.
I'll never forget. It was the baby shower. Oh, what happened? Is my game working? What's the matter with you, bro?
Frank,
Wait, so does your aunt really make twerking videos?
No.
One time he just had her talking
That's
crazy.
That's a joke, man.
He was talking crazy to her,
No. But I remember those moments where the Combat Jack show, it was, I forgot who it was. It may have been a couple of us, but we were able to get away from the city and enjoy the moments in the pool. And, it was special. We had a birthday for Reg at that time. And I remember that, King?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Special moment, man.
Very.
But there's a lot
cry
of.
Now? Is that
Nah. That was only last year, man. That was.
You guys all had T-shirts on in the pool, right?
Nah, Dallas actually. Dallas was the only one who went in the pool.
Yeah. Did he jump?
Dallas, you remember
I think he jumped.
Yeah, I mean the pool was delicious. Pool was heated. The pool was heated. I actually also worked the grill that day too.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had good times. We had good times, Premium Pete.
Yeah, I think that was that was and will always be the special thing about the Combat Jack show was the people, and the moments. And I remember PNC days, you think about it, Boss Nod and Just Dave and Jay Slayer and so many people. It's just, it was like an after school program. I always used to call the Combat Jack show the after school program. Like when I had after school is when I stayed out of trouble. Growing up, and then when they stopped doing after school, that's when I found myself in trouble. I found like the Combat Jack show was a later in my life after school. It was some different type of people who were nice at different type of things, but it was like a real brotherhood. And I'll be honest with you, when you meet people late in your life, you don't find that often. A lot of us met late in life. Like I know Dallas maybe 12 years now, maybe around that, but I'm closer with him than I am with people I grew up with, and sometimes people I think about my daughter. My daughter, for a girl, I'm sure it's tough. You meet a lot of different girls growing up. She's a teenager, so she's like, I don't like these girls, or she's like, I don't really have any friends anymore because this one's doing drugs or this one's sleeping with this guy, and so she kind of spread herself away from that. And she's like, I have no friends, and that bothers her. I was like, you could find friends later on in life.
True.
And, it's living proof. The Combat Jack show was that. We were all friends become family. And that's something I think that I'll always cherish. I mean, a lot of these gentlemen, were in my house, or we were in their house. We've been to Justice's house. We've been to, Dallas's house. Been to
they say
Ben's
you're
house.
Really not a friend until you take a shit in your friend's house.
Well, I didn't do that. I mean.
No, I did take a shit in your parents' house. No. I mean, I took a shit there. That day, the chlorine in the pool somehow gave me the wicked bubble. But I went in there, I locked myself in there, man, and I handled my
Dallas crop dusted the crib in Hoboken so bad one day. Wow.
Did I do that?
Yes.
Hold on, did I do that?
No, you never acknowledged it. We just knew.
Hold on for a second. I don't know that I did the crib in Hoboken.
Yo, Briss.
Crop dust.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. That's the...
Agent Orange.
See, anybody could win at home. But to be a championship team, you got to have a great away game. All right? My away game is fucking superlative.
82-0 on the road.
Plus, I mean, let's face it, just any crib you got, you already know. Toilet seat is heated. The ambiance inside the bathroom. You know what I mean?
This is true.
But do you shit
It's
in the
thought-provoking.
But this was in the living room.
Oh.
I mean, I wasn't in front of people.
Yes, you were. You kind of just walked past.
Wait. You got two-way mirrors in this shit?
No.
Oh, shit.
No, you should have seen one side of the dining room table. The whole table just went, okay. And everybody just politely just ignored the
Is
fact.
that whiff?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you got. That's how you got to treat it.
But you know, you were comfortable enough because you know your family. You were comfortable enough to let that go and keep it moving like as if nothing happened.
Nothing did happen.
I guess not.
Dallas loves doing stuff like that.
If then nobody say nothing,
no,
then nothing happened. Okay, that's.
I think he does it on purpose. I think he just like
Who's
he looks
gonna say
around.
something?
He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna take a shit.
Right,
take a shit right here
in my pants."
Nah, first of all, I'm trying to tell you, any crib Just Blaze has, all right, one of the best rooms you're gonna be. First of all, he's got studios, he's got theaters inside the spot. Every room is built for maximum comfort.
Shout out to the game room.
Heated floors in the bathroom.
Shout out to the game room.
So any room in that spot.
Don't fart in the game room though. That's wild, disrespectful.
No. That's all right. That's all right. If
Can't
it's
do
just
that.
you and Just.
Yeah, I want to watch a porno in the game room. You ever watch a porno in the game room?
Oh shit!
In the game room or the theater?
How big is the TV? Pause.
Well, the game room is
how many inches?
70.
Is it? How many?
That's a thirsty
Theater is
pause.
100. The theater is 135.
135.
Yeah. In the theater, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I don't. Listen, I'm by myself. I don't have time to do things like that. Yeah, that's all good.
We should get and it's 3D in there. We should get like some 3D porn.
Really?
Yeah, just I don't want to talk
VR.
about. I don't want to talk about your opulence. I want to talk about the time you came to the Combat Jack show and decided that you wanted to come back.
Yeah, I was just telling that story to somebody the other day. You know what was interesting about it was pretty much everybody there I kind of knew already to varying degrees.
Yep.
Like we all had we had ties to each other somehow outside of the show.
Yeah.
I forget who I was just talking to about this. It was like a week ago, but it was like when I got there, it was kind of like I knew everybody individually, one way or another, and now we're all here in the same room. So it was really more just like hanging out with your peoples anyway. So it kind of just seemed natural. So when y'all brought it up, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I know everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
And that was the episode.
Me and Primo, I
with
think.
Primo, where we invited kind of similar to this, where we had intimate crowd that watched the conversation.
Yeah, but see, I didn't know what was what. Like when I got
So
there.
initially, we were supposed to do that at I believe at Beats by Dre at the Soho.
Oh wow, I
Soho
remember that.
store.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And
Yeah.
there
We even went over there.
Right. And
Yeah, we went over and checked out the space and everything.
Everything was a go, and then it fell through.
Yeah.
Because of King's Boy.
With Sneaker Sensei?
Not really.
No.
Remember when we was on the deck? And remember we had the meeting with
Why are you dry
with
snitching down?
with him, with Sneaker Sensei, and homeboy. Pete could talk about it. I don't want to.
No, it just didn't happen. But we were gonna have it. It was actually beautiful because that store just opened at that time.
Yeah.
Beats by Dre in the city.
And it didn't happen, so we said, all right, we pivot
do it at
to the home base.
Sweatbox.
Yeah, sweatbox, and we had a little audience, 60, 70 people that came.
That's the thing. When I walked in, I'm like, this many people are part of the show?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know it was like an audience.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, they got it popping. They got a staff or a crew of 70 people. I didn't know.
You know what? I believe we started promoting it, that we were going to be doing something in the crowd, like a live show. And because it didn't happen, we just wanted to kind of keep that same energy.
Right.
Not knowing what it would turn out to be. And then
it was dope.
It
It really just felt like a gathering of old friends.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a time before that moment where we had Just on. Before Primo came on.
No.
Nah?
No.
There was a time when Just came. Just, you had
No.
Yeah, you were there with Neil Brennan.
We're mixing up two different stories.
Okay.
So the first time I went, and it was Neil.
Neil Brennan.
And then they asked, and then I think whatever the next show was, I don't know if it was the next week or 2 weeks from then, is when Primo was coming back to be the guest. And that's when Reg hit me and was like, yo, do you want to actually, like, I know we were having a conversation kind of jokingly before, but do you want to come back?
Because the very first time you came through, I recall this like so vividly. You had come from the RLX. Well, you had come from the mansion.
And I had that green scarf.
Yeah, you had this hand knit RLX scarf that was like $1,600.
Yes.
And you was just dragging it on the floor.
$15.99. Yeah.
Just dragging it on the floor and just like being real cavalier with it. And I was like fucking kvetching. Like I was like, oh, what? Like,
I found that scarf the other day. I thought of you.
What the fuck is he doing? And he was doing it on purpose. So he was just like, oh, this thing here, kick it with his foot, shit, kick it around, like, yeah.
No, you know what? That travels. So the thing about that scarf, it's so warm. It's good for travel, right? Because like you could go somewhere and not have to. Like you don't want to be on a plane with a goose. You know what I mean? Like, you want like something that's light and comfortable. But when you get out the plane and it's cold, you can just do what you got to do with that scarf. The problem is ever since the way you revered that scarf, I'm scared to travel with it. I don't want to lose it. I would have never thought about it had you not reacted the way you reacted.
Wow.
Yeah, because you was too cavalier with it. You was too like
nonchalant.
Yeah, like remember now, at the time when I had gotten super heavy, like the only thing I could really rock from low would be accessories. Right. So it would be like gloves and hats and scarves. Because the big and tall shit was made to look like clown clothes. You know what I mean? So the only thing you could buy that was still respectable that made you look regular would be like a nice scarf, an ill cashmere scarf, an ill horsehair scarf. So that was accessories became my wave. So whenever I see an ill scarf, I'm like, oh yeah. And this joint still had the price tag on it. And I was like, oh shit. Like you know that this shit was made, shit was hand knit. Not hand knit by children. I know people think, oh, children hand knit. No. Just because they have little fingers, no. Children cannot be that detailed.
Yeah, the detail on it is crazy.
You have to have a banished Chinese mathematician, like some teacher who talked out against the government. He had to knit that shit because he's into the details. You understand? This mathematical mind is into the details of the shit. You know what I mean? So that's who they had knit that scarf, man. That shit was fantastic, man.
I'm gonna
fantastic.
upload a picture of the scarf so you can send it out when this goes out.
Please upload it. Just upload it so I can just keep it. I can just look at it.
Right.
For mine.
You want the scarf?
Stop it.
I'll give you the scarf.
Stop it, Just.
Yeah, you know what's
Stop it,
crazy?
Just.
I remember when Combat called me and he told me that you were going to be part of the Combat Jack show. I really think this motherfucker thought he was like George Steinbrenner. Like he just signed you to. Like he's like, yo, check this out. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, yo, Just Blaze is going to be part of the show. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, yeah, I don't know why, but he is.
Yeah. Same. I had that same.
It was that moment. It was that moment.
And you know what? And I will say this. Thank you, because there's so many different moments that lift us, but that was one of the beginning moments that lifted us as a whole, not just us.
But everything adds on, so it's the end of this whole building blocks to a great.
No, but that didn't.
But it was a move that wasn't calculated. It just happened organically, and it was a turning point that, if you look at the landscape of podcasting, I believe that a lot of successful podcasts have a turning point story. And for us, that was one of them. We had a few, to be honest.
I remember the same thing because I've known Just since he was a baseline Burr. And
DJ Benhameen.
Still, I remember when you were like, yo, I want to be part of the show, me and Combat were like, fuck, like, why do you agree to do this shit?
That shit was crazy.
I was like, word?
Like, yeah.
Like, for real? He's going to come back to the sweat box?
Yo, Ben, I tell you what.
That was my only thing was, you got to get air conditioning.
We never did.
And we never did.
We left that
We
one.
moved to Premiere, which was...
I mean, that shit was still a sweat box, too. But Ben, man, finally meeting you, finally getting you to come to the podcast, because for weeks, for months, Benhameen was this enigma.
Not that wasn't that long though.
You used to send mixes?
No.
Because remember when we first started. All right, so for people who don't know, there was 2 starts of the Combat Jack show. We had a trial period where we were starting, but then we kind of said that.
Shouts to Just Davey in the building.
Shout out to Just Dave. Shout out to Boss Dog. But we calculate that as the first episode, But it was a good 3 months of recording that we did, to where we really went live and so on and so forth. And there was another DJ Kraft, who threw up at the
Bring Your Own Blogger Bar.
That was the real Earl Sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Before Earl Sweatshirt. And if you guys ever went on to DallasPen.com, you'll see like the pictures or whatever. But
are they still up?
He couldn't do it.
I have him somewhere.
Yeah, he couldn't. We needed a committed DJ, and at the time we were internet radio, and it was, I think we were doing midnight to 2.
Right. We had some crazy
He couldn't do it. Yeah, I got to work, blah, blah, blah. And then
I didn't have a job.
Right after that first episode with Kraft.
We didn't know that you didn't have a job, Ben. We thought you was an op.
I know.
Because it'd be like, yo, Combat like, yo, let's go meet this guy, Benhameen. He's at Habana Outpost now.
I dipped that
and
time.
then you get a text, oh, no, he just left.
Yep. I
wait a minute.
with him that time.
Wait a minute, he's over here now.
Combat.
Oh, no, he just left there.
Yep.
So I'm like, man, this guy's a fed.
I ain't fuck with people.
The Kaiser Soze of the
Yeah, pretty much. I just didn't mess with people back then. I was like, I don't know these dudes like that.
Wait, so you left on purpose?
Kinda.
So did you hit up Combat first, or he hit you up?
No, okay. For the show, it was like, but that was before the show. When I was dipping on Combat all the time, that was before the show. And then, because Combat hit me up because of the Bill O'Reilly video, the Jay-Z, Jeezy, when they did My President is Black for the first time ever. I was the one recording that. And the video that blew up was everywhere.
PleaseDon'tStare.com.
PleaseDon'tStare.com. Shout out Preezy the Kid. And so that video went everywhere. Combat hit me up, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how we first started talking. But then I would dip on him all the time. But then when the show came up, I was posting the show on PleaseDon'tStare.com. And then one day out of nowhere, I was like, oh, damn. I honestly never even listened to the shit. I just posted, keep it moving. And then I was like, maybe they need a DJ. And so I hit up Combat, like, yo, y'all got a DJ? And he was like, we can't pay you, but yeah, come through. And so I went up to the station, but I'd say this, every time, like the first time I walked in there, and that was the first time meeting you in person. I knew you from the internets and shit, and I knew of Akim, I knew of Combat, but first time I walked in there, I was like, yo, this shit is genius. This shit is gonna be out of here. Like, I didn't know how, where, when, but I was like, this shit is silly. I ain't never heard of no shit. Like,
yo, I'm glad
like
Combat didn't hit you up for no dues. Who was the last dude to get on? Who had to pay dues?
Yeah, man, that was a speech.
Who had to pay dues?
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
But hold on for a second. Internet. Sitting right here.
Shout out to everybody in the room that's going to listen to this story.
Sitting right here on the Talkitecture podcast is someone that's known Reggie longer than all of us.
Hell yeah.
Haitian Miguel.
Yes.
You've known Reggie. I mean, is it a Haitian thing? Or all Haitians required to know each other?
No, we're not required to know each other. But,
you know Tupac from DC? Tupac D?
No, I don't.
No, Tupac there in court?
Burr.
No? Burr.
What was your first recollections of Reggie Osse?
Reggie wouldn't talk to me. He had that office when I first met him. He had that office, I think it was Times Square, right? The law office was.
Yeah.
Oh, say Woods.
It was, yeah.
Rest in peace.
I believe I was there to meet Ed. Ed had me sitting there for like an hour and a half. Reggie never spoke to me. But I knew who he was because he went to Cornell, and my brother went to Cornell, and he was a guy that everyone was watching because he went on to become, an attorney and rap and all that shit.
Yeah.
So like in our little community of Haitians, he was like a big shot.
Of Cornell-based Haitians?
Yeah.
Just Haitians.
How big is that community?
Huh?
How big is that community?
Very small.
Yeah.
Reggie was like one of three.
Don't let no Haitian tell you that though. Haitian will tell you like, yo, there's like 2 million of us.
Cornell.
Take over Cornell. They lunchroom.
The president.
Yeah. But I've known Reggie for a minute, man. And when he started the podcast, he used to come by the office. Wait, that was shortly after the podcast started. Yeah. He used to come by the office and shit, and we used to chat. And he used to tell me he wanted me to manage him. Manage what? You're a fucking lawyer, bro. What? But yeah, he was.
Reggie had like 10,
15
managers. That never manage him.
Yeah, I never understood shit. Yeah.
Unmanageable.
Yeah, pretty
much. Yeah,
crazy.
I knew him for a minute, man. We went through our ups and downs, as you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, challenges in our relationship.
I think knowing him well meant you had to go through ups and downs. Because,
Yo, remember when we first started the show, and Reg was moving crazy. Like he had all these dope ideas, but I always felt like I just was big on pace. Like, all right, we could do all these things, but it's not like rush because we don't know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to struggle a lot. And I used to get so mad where I would go on Twitter. And I remember I used to take shots at him. I'd be firing up shots at Reg. And he would hit me like, yo, what the fuck are you doing?
You was firing sub.
Yeah, I was subbing. Ooh, submarine. Bah, bah.
Yeah.
Like missile and shit. And he was like, yo, dude, you can't do this in this space when everybody's watching us. And, you know, he'll be like, Elliot's watching, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, you right.
Eat your face.
All right. I get it. I wasn't thinking about that during the time. And
I like that, Reggie. I liked it a lot when he was being competitive.
He was being competitive, but he also was thinking way further than we were thinking.
Yeah, he's an attorney.
And because we're in the bubble, we're like, yo, you know what I'm saying? And that's the challenge, like what you was talking about, Haitian Miguel. Like, it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't personal. It was just the great minds. You know?
That's where our challenges came
wanting
from.
to win, wanting to do dope shit. And with what we were doing at that time, it was unprecedented because we didn't know what we were doing.
Territory.
Yeah.
Basically.
Man.
So yeah,
I love that about him. I loved when he'd get amped. You know what I mean? Like, and he was he was constantly competing.
Yeah.
Right. And that shit just, I love that. Those conversations when we were cool was just always about, man, fuck that nigga, fuck this nigga. Like, I love that shit. You know that. I love that competition shit. And Reggie was super competitive. Man.
Yeah.
You know what you got to look at too, and it wasn't that long ago. You know, people looked at like this guy. You know, being an entertainment attorney. You know, representing many different people, seeing different things and experiencing different. And having a podcast. You know, what many people don't know. Is it was a struggle. And I at that time, and again, it wasn't that many years ago. People were like, "Oh, you got a podcast? That's cute.
That's cute."
You know?
That's cute. Podcast.
And I know, and I know, that's why, and I always say this too. He used to ask me, and I'm sure a lot of other people were like, "Yo, you think they fuck with us?" He used to ask me all the time, and I was like,
I used to get that a lot too.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, man, come on, man, and the more and more, like, and I always use this story, but I remember us going to A3C the first time we were in an elevator, and there was like 3 people in there, and he's like, yo, you heard of the Combat Jack show? And they're like, nah. He's like, CP, they don't fuck with us. Yeah, and then the next year we went, I'll never forget, like, we were signing like autographs. Do you remember like?
Well, I remember because the first show that we did,
yeah.
It was maybe like 10 people in the audience.
Yeah.
10, 15 people. And the next year, everybody was like rock stars.
Yeah. Which, and it's funny because it's like the process of even, being so early. And again, it wasn't that long ago. Being so early in the game, you think about it. Like, we were taking pictures and shaking hands and kisses babies and signing autographs, but nobody was really, besides Just, making money. You know what I mean? And Just was making money because of his talents,
Right.
I never cashed either Combat Jack.
No, I don't mean that. I don't mean that. Well, first of all, you haven't cashed a lot of checks. That's first of all.
I guess.
Even I remember Elliot was telling a story about the
double
XL checks you didn't cash. I get a 30-cent check. I'm cashing that. You know what I mean?
$13.
Yeah.
I keep those.
Oh, that's right. Actually, I did.
Wait,
Wait, just to give people internet's
I think
an
me and
idea.
Dallas shared the check.
We got a check one time from loudspeakers, right? I'll never forget.
I still have that first loudspeaker.
I cashed my shit.
I'll never forget this story.
I definitely cashed any.
We got a check from loudspeakers, and I was like, I know this is bad, but
well, this is early loudspeakers.
This is early loudspeakers.
Yeah.
But we got a check. I'll never forget, and I was like, yo, like we were really grooving and shaking and baking, and I was like, yo, and Chris came out. Or was Combat or Chris handed it?
Combat handed
it. And he came and handed these motherfucking envelopes.
It was Chris.
And no, he handed these envelopes. And
Chris gave him to Combat. Morrow gave him to Combat.
Yes, there we go. Okay.
And said, give this shit to these niggas.
But yo, he gave it. Yo, I'll never forget.
Negro. You Darkston house Negro.
Yo, he gave these checks, right? Check this out. He gave these checks, and I couldn't. I was dying to see what was in it, so I was trying to. I was dying, but you couldn't do that right in front of him. So I went inside to the bathroom, and I
Took a
opened
bump
the
and then he
envelope
opened it.
and I looked in
Took
it.
a shit.
And it said $29.
2 shits in one.
Yo, I went back to Dallas and I was like, yo, you know how much the check is for? And his eyes lit up. Like he thought I was like $29. We go to A King and he's like, $29? I got 13.
That's a fact.
Yo, we were like,
And we talking about paying dues.
yo,
Wow.
yo.
Man.
Damn, I
But
feel fucked up, though.
that was
My shit was 41.
Yo, actually, I haven't seen Dallas.
I still got it though.
I'd already gotten fired by then.
You already, who knows? Probably. The crazy thing
I
is,
must have been.
And Dallas. The crazy thing is, after that, like things changed a lot because we were like, yo, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing about the Combat Jack show, extended and main family. It's a dysfunctional family, man. It's dysfunctional, but
I think
that's
the
how
greatest
families
thing
are.
that happened from the Combat Jack show is that look at you, Premium Pete. Look at you, a podcaster in his own right. Who would have thought that? I mean, who would have thought from the first time they heard you on the Combat Jack show that you would create a podcast that people would want to listen to? That
I used to get tired of Pete. Remember?
Oh man,
I used to
listen.
cut his mic off.
Listen, Pete was not to speak. Pete was there doing security work.
Concierge.
Yeah.
Snacks. He
Yeah.
bring the snacks.
be respectful.
Well, I mean, he was there doing security work. He was there, you know, he was there doing some management, you know.
You remember when he used to come to PNC and he would go into one of the studios and put his feet up on the desk like he was running that shit. And he used to have
I was resting.
He used to have all his phone meetings and shit. And the owner of PNC used to come through. He used to be upset. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why is he?
I'm having a meeting over here.
Yeah. Well, the problem is what people are not understanding too, and this is again for people listening, long-time listeners of the Combat Jack show understand, and this is what A King is moving to. We had dues, and that's what people don't know. Motherfuckers, dead serious.
Dues. When you say dues, what?
Well, what happened was, I guess each week it was like $25 a head.
50.
Like that was what the studio
50 a month. It was
charged.
50 a month.
50 a month.
Yeah.
All I know is that we were back to fuck up after 3 or 4 months. Benhameen was owed like $192. I owed like $275. And to be honest,
Nobody ever paid.
Motherfuckers didn't have it. And I'm being dead serious. Like that's the crazy thing. Like I remember us arguing, saying like, "Yo, I don't have it."
All right. So to give people
Not
context,
only did nobody ever pay, I'll never forget one time Reggie said to me, "Listen, dues, I got that covered."
well, part of that too is that during that time I'll say so.
He was like, "Dudes, don't worry
Yeah.
about it. I got that."
So one of the
Just like the splits.
Yeah. Oh wow. Shit.
Hold on.
But again, I want to get to one of his greatest strengths. And
Yo, wait, hold
I
on,
put this on a lot of Haitians, but it's their belief in themselves and their belief in the things that they are doing that they can't be stopped.
Well,
that they can't.
This motherfucker got delivered
Close that door.
in the middle of the show.
just came through with the scarf. But yo, wait, with Dallas, wait a second.
People order takeout.
Oh shit! Wow. Just Blaze just walked through.
Just Blaze just had the polo delivery.
He got Uber
Dallas.
low.
Yo, that's great.
I don't think we ever spoke about this. Let the internet know
Just
about
Blaze
this.
had the delivery from the man.
Whoa. The splits. Well, now here's the thing. The Combat Jack show initially started out Dallas Penn, Combat Jack, and myself. Dallas brought on Premium Pete. I might mess up the order.
No, it's you.
Dallas brought on Premium
You were
Pete.
there when I got there, right?
That's right.
And then
Yeah.
Benhameen came on. No, Benhameen, and then
Benhameen came on
first.
No, I swear Pete was
I
there.
was there before him.
I swear Pete was there the first episode. I was
Trust me.
there.
So look, all right. So Pete, then Benhameen.
Yeah.
Matt Raz.
Matt Raz. Right?
Before that.
Who brought Matt?
So
No, Matt Raz.
Matt
Dallas.
Raz just showed up.
Matt
How about
Raz
this?
just rode
Hold
his
on.
bike to the
Matt
studio
Raz showed up one night with Dante Ross.
Yo.
Oh, that's why he got
He was working with Dante Ross.
Yes,
at
he
the time.
was.
Yo, I
He showed up
shit
with
you
Dante
not.
Ross. He had such a good time. He came back the next week.
Yo, I
On
shit
the
you
bike,
not.
on the 10 speed.
Matt Raz pulled up in a woman's 10-speed.
Yeah.
Yes, facts.
I'm dead
With
serious.
the bars going down like
woman,
that.
A woman's 10-speed Ross, and
And they had the protector on the wheel. You
and
know
he had
that,
Larry
that
Bird,
brace.
Larry Bird basketball shorts. I'm dead serious. Like the things were like,
Yeah, but no,
okay.
Matt Raz came with Dante Ross as his assistant and just had so much fun.
Just never left.
He never left.
He's a great addition, though.
Matt Raz was fantastic. Everybody.
So as the show progressed from 3 to 4 to 5, Dallas would be like, yo. And I appreciate him for even thinking that forward. He's like, damn, man, what these splits gonna be looking like? We had 6 people, bro.
Like Wu-Tang splits.
He's like, yo, if we get $100, and I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm like, we're gonna figure it out, right? I don't know how we're gonna figure it out. We'll figure it out. And then when Just Blaze came on board, it's like, damn, we got to make $1 million now, because
no,
you know.
To his credit, Reggie did what he could do to get us some bread.
So with the dues,
yes,
we keep mentioning it. So the station wanted the talent to pay $50 a month as a give back, because that studio, as you know,
wait, what?
It was 24.
Yeah, you owed too.
I always thought that was a joke.
No,
that's serious.
So,
you weren't there for the speech.
The reason being because that studio is open 24.
The only nigga that could pay dues.
Yeah, he did.
Look, so the studio is 24/7. A lot of people come in, they bring food, they do this or that, and it's like, all right, this is a personal upkeep. Not that $50 was going to do anything significant, but it was like, all right, this keeps everybody to balance. The problem was when we started the Combat Jack show, it was never articulated to Combat or the show that was a requirement.
Right.
So as the show is progressing and we doing things, perception-wise, I think some of the talent was complaining that we were getting favoritism and all this other shit.
Talent from other shows or other spaces, you mean?
Right. Oh, no, other shows at the studio.
That's what happened. Other talents at the space.
At the studio, right. And then I guess it kind of got on the owner's, in his head or whatever, and he started getting upset. The rent there was $6,000 a month at the time. I'm talking about a Dumbo loft space.
Right.
And honestly, they weren't generating enough money to keep that. So what happened was, the dues would circumvent a lot of the cost.
Right.
So he never articulated. So one day when the shit got crazy and Just Blaze came on board, I guess in his mind he's like, Just Blaze is here. They gotta be lit. Like, what's up? So he would press me about it, like, what's up? They paying dues. I'm like, damn, dude, you never told them they had to do that. So now here I go, in my position there, as well as being on the show.
You used to work at PNC, right?
Right. So I was like, yo, Reg, we got a problem.
Great politician.
I was like, we got a big problem, brother. And then he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I got old emails chains with Reg, just like we going back and forth. And the owner was like, yo, one day he was like, yo, when y'all take the show, I want to have a meeting with y'all. When Justice coming too, right? And I'm like, damn, yo, this is it. This is gonna be Just Blaze gonna leave. I'm like, the show is gonna be over.
I mean, but I always figured it's PNC radio. I would imagine they sell advertising on their radio.
That was the idea to do so when we got to a point.
They hadn't gotten to that point, and they hadn't worked that part out yet?
No, because it was so what happened was too. Remember, PNC at the time, it was still new to the space in terms of having a model.
But I figured you'd work that out.
Model from day one is advertising.
Yeah. For sure.
Right, so you figure you work that out before you go and get the $6,000 space.
Exactly.
Nah, it was just, I don't know. But anyway, I don't want to.
And furthermore, I mean, people use the term radio because it was a catch-all. Everyone understood, radio. I understand that. I listened to it.
Right.
And really, what was happening at PNC was they were creating podcasts. They were creating all kinds of digital audio content. Whether it was Mecca and his crew on Saturdays and
Too Dope Radio,
and it was
Legendary. Too Dope had a show.
Legendary Radio.
Yeah.
So, but y'all were creating podcasts.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, y'all would stream live, but the real value in those things was the digital recording
archive,
that people could listen to
post
a day later, 2 days, a week, whenever. So. Again, radio is in everyone's mind, but no one realizes that really this format is podcasting.
Right.
And no one knew there anyhow how to monetize or advertise.
So now the dudes, right? So now we're doing this live show. We're doing our show, and it's probably about 10. Now we're at 10 o'clock slot. Mm-hmm. So it's about 11
midnight,
approaching the end time.
This was on Wednesdays, right? I think it was.
Yeah. And then the owner, he stayed behind to have this meeting with us. Reggie being slick, as I'm recalling in my mind, I knew Reggie, he was protecting He didn't want to. He didn't want Homeboy to encounter Just Blaze with that bullshit. So
I would have been sitting there like, huh?
So we recorded an extra hour. I don't know if you remember this. We did 3 hours that night, and somewhere in the third hour, Just snuck out. He didn't know he snuck out, but he left without any fanfare. So when the show was over, Homeboy was upset. He's like, "Yo, y'all went an hour overtime. I want to meet with y'all. Where's Just Blaze?"
Wow.
Reggie was like, "Yo, he left. What the fuck?" And then his whole face just turned red. And it's Benhameen. It's Pete.
Yo, I
He was like corner me
and
for
it's
some
hot.
paper?
It's hot as shit. But
Was his intention to corner me for some paper?
Yes.
No, to corner everybody.
Well, everybody.
We
but,
wanted you to be there.
But he wanted to, I think he wanted to flex
Right.
us in front of you.
Got it.
Yo, that was the one time I knew that Combat had a lot of love for me because I actually called, because I don't stand for that shit. I never stood for that shit on the Combat Jack show. So when he was acting like that, I told him, like, yo, relax. He's like, I'm not talking to you. And Reggie stood up and was like, yo, don't talk to him like that.
Yep.
Like, you know, it was like, do not talk to Pete like that. And it almost got heat. I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on in here?
Yeah, it got
I was like,
heated.
yo, I was about to figure out how I could pay the $237 in dues and squash this thing out.
Right.
But it was, you know.
So that was the amount, 237.
It was more than that. But that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm saying I owe it around that much.
Oh, that shit was so.
And I remember Benhameen was like,
my man was getting super emotional with us,
No, it was-
and I'm sitting there like, Braids, like you said, you got a
Braids
whole
is
ass,
only half as long.
you got a whole ass
But that's-
studio,
no,
and you
that's-
can't
that's-
figure out how to pay for this
Like,
shit.
I've been in situations like that where it's like there's a bunch of things happening under one roof,
Yeah.
but they see the one thing that
Yeah.
looks like it's popping, and they try to use that. Like,
Yeah.
yo, we can't save your mismanagement.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have a whole radio station with all this other stuff happening, and you're pressing us for dues, like we're not going to fix your $6,000 a month.
It doesn't sound like it was going to be us. He wanted to shake this guy down.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like he wanted to
Yeah.
come in and be like,
So-
"You got it. What's up?"
And, right,
exactly.
and you know, and that's why I respect Reggie. Yeah, it may sound fucked up, whatever, but I respect Reg for protecting you from that because you shouldn't have.
Well, I would have also.
It's a story now.
Right,
It's like,
but I would have also had no idea what he was talking about.
Right,
Like, I
because
would
he
have
never-
been
None
like,
of us
"Excuse
did.
me."
And I think that's what Reggie was concerned with. Like, no, you're not gonna be doing all that.
Right.
Like, we just trying to
that
get to
would
another
reflect-
show with Just.
Right,
Like,
and it would have reflected on Reg.
we just trying to get to the
I
next
would
show.
have been looking at Reggie like,
when it was time for that studio to close down for renovations.
Oh, that's it. Got even more spicy.
Renovations.
More spicy.
Reg said to me, he said, "Man, listen, we could wait for them to reopen,
Yes.
or we could go to another spot. There's a dude that's gonna give us a space to record."
Yes.
Burr.
And he was a fan of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
He actually came through one time and sat
Yeah,
in.
come through before.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
Sneaky Chris Morrow.
So the
Chris
thing
Morrow.
was, if we had not taken that opportunity, then there would be no.
"Oh, that's right," because Chris wasn't
Facts.
initially involved when I was there.
So Chris was like, "Hey, you guys could come over here where we do the syndicated stuff, but
Right.
you
It
gotta
won't
be on the
be
low."
all the fuck
That was
shit.
super
after
guerrilla
work
style.
hours.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know that was like a
Yeah, we weren't allowed in there, yeah.
clandestine operation.
After the white people go home,
Right.
Yeah.
Then y'all got,
we could bombard the space, tape up the mics so they won't see the
Yeah,
the
so they see
branding,
the name of the brand.
and we rock out. And that's when now, remember I mentioned before, turning points.
Yeah.
Now
was
we
a major
have,
turning
point.
well, the major turning point was being in that room.
Yeah.
And then the next turning point was, you know, the remarkable episodes that came out of that space during that transition.
Wow.
You know?
But like that was
Quite a
said,
few.
what was really important was Combat, and I really, 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 really give him so much credit because if he said, you know what, we could take a quick break. You know, we'll come back in a couple of weeks. We may have been done.
It would have been over.
Yeah, he always said, what,
you know
2
why?
weeks off the internet, you're done.
PNC said about 2-3 weeks they
Yeah.
need.
Nah.
They were closed for like 3-4 months.
Yep.
And
Did they ever reopen?
No,
Yes, they did. They reopened. They renovated the space, and there was an expectation
Yep.
that the Combat Jack show would continue.
Oh,
And that's where it got a little crazy. And I don't want to get too messy, but
spaceship had already
Reggie
taken
really
off.
kicked in his lawyer gear and was like,
Yeah, I think this whole story speaks to his.
"Show me some
tenacity.
paperwork."
What you were talking about earlier. He just had this fucking, like, I'm not giving up. Right?
He said,
Most
"Nah."
people would have just been like, all right, we'll wait for them to come back. We'll figure something
He said
out.
Reggie was always of the mindset that he liked the fact that we can record, edit, and put out rather than be on a live schedule and you have no room for error. If there's some audio issues or whatever, people got to hear that shit. So it kind of was our new reintroduction to what we now know as podcasting. You know,
Can we fast forward to the complex days?
So, yeah. Well, I think before you get to the complex days, I mean, Just Blaze is here. We gotta decipher the Dame Dash episode.
Oh, right.
I mean, everywhere I go, and people like, yo, they always ask about it. Like, yo, what was going on? So walk us through that, like, you know.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where ultimately I never listened to the playback, but I think it sounded worse than what it actually
Wait, hold on. I got to cut you off. Dallas, tell a story of how you and Reg got Dame to even come on the show.
Right.
Pause.
The whole thing was that Dame had worked Reggie out 2 nights before at DD 172.
Pause.
And basically,
wait, what?
Thank y'all.
He worked him out at DD.
Thank y'all. Y'all see, Mecca's Kitchen got me slumping.
Think about that.
Picking me back up.
Think about that. Say wings.
I'm just sitting there waiting for you to clarify that, like, oh, and he's gonna act like nothing was said.
But essentially, what Dame had got his off.
Yeah.
This is getting worse and worse.
Yeah. Go ahead, go for it.
And he had already exercised his
his muscle.
Yeah. Let's keep it going. So when he came to the premiere space, I mean, here's a guy who he hasn't seen in about a decade.
Yeah.
About a decade. And if you can just imagine the time that these folks spend together. Like we can't imagine because, Haitian Miguel, maybe you can imagine because you've been in creative spaces like that, where you create things that send you all around the globe in front of arenas where people lose their fucking mind, where people just shit themselves, where you create this incredible energy. And I mean, that's an incredible feeling to be part of. I mean, that's why we're here tonight. We created some kind of energy,
indeed,
through a podcast. But imagine what Just Blaze with the Rockefeller machine, with that machine. Imagine what kind of energy them dudes created.
Right.
I mean, we still rock to it today. Yep. Heavy.
So
Dame gets to see his younger brother, his kid brother, who's all grown up.
Who he hasn't seen in many, many years.
Right. We haven't spoken in quite some time.
And you're in a different place now.
Much different.
Making a lot more money.
Right.
More successful than you ever were.
How long did it take? The first 12 minutes?
Probably.
Before they interacted?
But what did you expect? Did you knew that was coming?
Oh, yeah. No, like that was kind of the point.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I feel like that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to make no mistakes about it.
I didn't see it.
Beat around the bush. But here's the thing is, what people saw that night was always the nature of me and Dame's relationship. Like, and that's what I'm saying. I think as antagonistic as it sounded on both ends, it really wasn't that. That's just what we did. You know what I mean? Like, I remember one time Dame tried to see, where were we at? Oh, the VMAs after party, like in the stairwell. We had an argument the day before. He tried to he's like, yo, when I see you tomorrow at the party, it's on. And then I see him in the stairwell. He's like, just disrespectful Blaze. Here we go again. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. And it was always the same thing. People thought, oh my God, are they really gonna have a problem? No, and then we just walked away.
But you know how I thought it was real at one point in time? And this is just my opinion. I was obviously in the room.
Right.
Antagonizing it with Dallas.
Right.
And when he said, "Look, as long as we're doing this, let's just keep it respectful."
Right.
There was a point in time where he said that to you, because it was getting a little back and forth.
Right.
Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't think that he was serious?
I didn't really care.
What I didn't like, just from watching that shit, I didn't like the fact that he wasn't he was talking crazy and he didn't give you no eye contact.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, this dude is wild, crazy. Like, you can't do that shit. I was like, that must be some Harlem shit.
That bothered you?
Yeah. I'm like, this fucking Just Blaze. I don't give a fuck if y'all did a decade of right.
I'm
respect that dude.
You don't understand the hurt that still was with Dame when people had to choose sides, when people had to split.
True.
And I mean, unfortunately for Dame, I mean, he had chose that character to move everybody forward, but the price of that character that he chose is what never allowed him to connect to people personally.
No, I agree, because one of the things that I always used to say to people in regards to Dame was, in a lot of ways, he was a great leader, right? And when I talk about like my personal experience, as much back and forth and as up and downs, and I think I talked about this on the show. Like when my pops died, a lot of the other higher ups' reactions was pretty much, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that," and went on about their day. He was the only one that like see me in the room sitting there by myself and came in the room and actually made the effort to sit down and talk with me, and just not just talk with me like on some, like he didn't have to come in the room. He came in, checked on me, asked how I was doing, talked about his experiences with death, X, Y, and Z. So that's when I really kind of started to realize you're actually not a bad person. Your mouth pause, it just gets in the way.
Right.
Or the persona gets in the way.
Right, the character that he chose.
Like you said, the character that he chose.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta become a monster to fight monsters.
Right.
That was the whole thing for Dame. That was the whole thing for Dame. For him to move that machine with all those parts, straight up with all those niggas.
Right.
All right, that's a lot of niggas. When you talk about Rockefeller, state property, diplomats,
niggas.
MOP,
Young Guns.
Yep.
Man, listen, he's loaded with niggas and nigga energy. All right, and now he's got to corral that nigga energy, ball it up, put it under his arm, and then go into a boardroom and in front of white niggas,
get more money, sell it.
Right, in front of white niggas, present it so that like, hey, y'all are gonna make money from this nigga energy. All right, y'all are gonna make money from this energy here that I'm helping manage, but y'all gonna have to give us better numbers. And it's difficult, and I think it consumed him. And
I'm gonna say, so just going off what you just said about the numbers and whatnot, like the budgets that we had at that time, unheard of.
Like for videos, like for travel,
everything.
Like what?
Like, all right, like for example, the reason why people thought Rockefeller owned the baseline, and the reason why it was hard for me to make baseline work after Rockefeller was because people just assumed that they owned it. No, they were paying. Oh God, dude, you're looking at like $60,000 to $83,000 a month just in having the studio open 24/7. There was a cost attached to that. Like, they didn't own the studio, they had to pay that bill. But that was part of the way things were structured with Def Jam. Or like the way the State Property album even came about. That was never the plan. The plan was, we're gonna do a Beanie Siegel and Memphis Bleek album. We're gonna go to Miami. And it was me. They got me a condo. Got Beans. You know what it was? Bleek's brother had just had a really bad motorcycle accident. He had to stay down there for surgery. They weren't sure if he was going to make it. So the whole, again, Dame being like, all right, well, if that's where you need to be, then we're just going to bring the operation down there. Got me a condo. Flew Guru out. Guru ended up staying in my place.
Did they greenlight a lot of requests that you guys wanted?
No, we didn't ask for much. We were just happy to be there. Yeah. You know, booked out the entire Circle House studios.
Just Blaze is a consummate nerd.
Right.
Where I feel like if he's got all his equipment with him, you know what I mean?
I don't really need anything else.
Right. No pause on the equipment, y'all? Am I good?
No, you're good on that.
That's egregious.
So, but then what was happening was Beans, like, Petey Crack had just come home.
Right.
I want to say Freeway maybe had just come home not long before that. So Beans was flying them down there to Miami, and Dame or whoever was authorizing getting all them places to stay as well. So the initial idea was we're going to do this Beans and Bleak album. That wasn't really working. For whatever reason, like, they just weren't gelling. Like, they gelled so well on their, joint records, but the idea of from the standpoint of doing a whole project just wasn't coming together for some reason.
But the timing too. With
it could have been timing. Bleak, like I said, Bleak was dealing with stuff with his brother.
Right.
I think their work schedules were very different. Matt would not show up to the studio till 2 a.m. Bleak was showing up at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a lot of things that were contributing to it not working out. Meanwhile, all of Bean's little homies are starting to come out.
Mm-hmm.
They start doing songs. When Sparks came out, they flew Freeway out. And the plan was never like, I don't think the name State Property even existed. It was just dudes who knew. Some of them I think we even were meeting for the first time right around that time. So Beans just starts doing records and they start jumping on him. And what really set it off was like, Freeway's already around because he'd done the verse on 900 Hustler. I think he was the only one that was already around. So then he approaches me on a humble one day like, yo, can I get a beat? Now mind you, none of them had actual record deals.
Right.
Like, Freeway was the only one who had a production deal with Rockefeller, and that was it. Production deal meaning if you pop, we'll sign you to Def Jam or sign you to Sony or somewhere. Freeway approaches me on a humble like, yo, can I get a beat? And I'm like, you were respectful. You know the reason that really happened was because me and Sparks used to go at it. Because Sparks used to feel so entitled to get beats from me because he felt like he was owed that for some reason. I didn't give Freeway the beat to get back at Sparks. It wasn't that, but it was Freeway was so respectful about his request. I'm like, here, you know what? I just made this beat last night. Take it. We walk in that was at 5 a.m.
What beat was that?
Rock the Mic.
Mm-hmm. we already knew that.
But it was on a super, like Freeway just came to me on a humble. I'm like, yo, you know what? That was so, you asked me so nicely.
Right.
And some of these other guys are coming to me like it's my job to give them beats when it's not. Here, rock out. I left at 5, gave him the beat, left at 5, came back 10 a.m. and everybody's at the pool like, yo, did you hear what Freeway did on this record? I'm thinking they're talking about something else. I walk out to the pool and it's Rock the Mic. It is done. 3 verses, Beans wasn't even on it. And that's, I think, what really solidified what we're doing now is this State Property thing. And then we stayed out there and did like probably about 90% of the State Property album.
Wow.
Point being, though, is that going back to what I was saying, the budgets, like they were paying for all that. Circle House booked 24 hours a day, 3 rooms. They also flew Kamel out. Kamel was, rest in peace, Kamel was Guru's young boy. And Kamel was like the second engineer. So you had all of this money being spent hoping that something good would come out of it. And, it did. But that was Dame's thing. Like, if we know we have the talent, spend the money because y'all will make it back.
Right.
And that's what when I talk about him being a great leader.
Yeah.
And going to bat for his team.
And I think, I mean, still for him to get those budgets authorized, required a lot of yelling, required a lot of cursing, just required a lot of him doing button pushing. Right. And that will consume you.
Agreed.
That will consume you. But that was a classic episode, yes.
And look what came out of that.
But
Outside of the
hold on for a second. Just brought us Bleak. Just brought us Foxy. Just brought us.
Hold on, Foxy Brown. You talking about a 3-hour episode?
Oh man.
2 hearing aid battery changes and 3 boxes of tissue. That episode
just brought us the credibility that allowed us to get that deal for Complex Media. Complex Media at the time, they didn't know how to monetize. What they had, they didn't know how to monetize.
Well, I think they did. They just wasn't.
Well, maybe they wasn't fucking with me like that.
They just did. I think that what a lot of companies do, they try to.
Maybe they wasn't fucking
pinch.
with me like that because to me, they had some shit hotter than anything they've ever produced to this point.
Well, let's shout out Sweet Spot, number 1, because they were the believers anyway. The production team.
Sweet Spot was the production team.
They fucked with us heavy.
That's right.
Heavy.
Sweet Spot was the production team that built the set and filmed us. But again, I mean, this was underwritten by Complex. All right? This was Complex underwriting it. And again, sometimes when you underwrite something, you got to really get behind it.
But also, I think, I think there was a difference in vision. Because if you remember, like I remember when it was time for the first episode, what I thought was a preview was the first episode. It was like a 5-minute thing.
And that was a struggle. We was like, well.
That's what I think their thing was give the people tidbits. We're looking at it like.
Yo, we do a 2-hour episode every week that people wait for. Why are we going to cheat them and give them 5 minutes?
A 15-minute episode in 5-minute nuggets.
Right. Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. And I normally don't come out my face on social media. And I remember saying something to somebody at Complex. It probably came out of my face a little too extra, but I was so incensed on behalf of the crew. Like, forget about me. Everybody has busted their ass and worked their ass off to get this to this point. And we have our format. It works for us to make. We know what we're doing. And we understand that, you guys have to have your vision and your input because, like you said, they're underwriting it. But to take the format and chop it up so much. And there was some compromise eventually, but like that first initial run of the 5-minute chunks,
they stopped allowing comments because the internet's let them have it after the first episode. And that was the end of the comment shit. They were like, "Oh, turn them off."
People that were true to the podcast were like, "What is this shit?"
Yeah. Well, you got to think about it. We were doing 1.5 hour, 2.5 hour, episodes of where, and I make this.
Well, people knew they were missing something. People knew they were missing something. Something was.
I didn't expect it to be 2-hour video episodes.
No, but it was
like
3 minutes,
hour,
4 minutes.
Right, half hour, 35 minutes.
Listen, you can't tell me that time that we sat in there, we didn't make at least a half hour pop.
Mm-hmm. No, there was more than that.
Well, that's why if you go to YouTube now and you go look at the episodes, they have the part 1, part 2, part 3 shit, and then they have the best of, and then they had the bonus clips. Like they try to milk the content, you know what I mean? But I would have rather seen it packaged, no pause, in one piece, like 30, 40 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah. And then you can do your additional behind the scenes. And there's more ways to milk it, I think.
Absolutely.
You give people the core content, and then you come back for each episode and you maybe do 3 or 4 supplemental pieces to that main 35 to 40 minutes.
And the irony in that is, if you fast forward to what they're doing now,
right,
which is long form shit.
It's all long form.
Yep.
Still
what were
not
the splits like on that, business wise?
Well, listen.
Wow.
So we still was going through problems with
sweats.
What to say? Newports and Puma sweats. Trust me.
It was so.
After the first episode, I got wind that they re-upped the production team deal, Sweet Spot. So I said, the second episode.
Dallas was mad.
The day of, I hit Combat up. I said, I can't make it.
That was the best.
And so he hits the producers up, and Lorne is losing his shit. Eli, not so much, but Lorne.
Shout out to Eli.
Yeah, Eli.
Yeah, Eli was kind of like, man, fucking Dallas. Lorne was like, oh, man, this fucking guy. And I'm like, yeah, Lorne, listen, man, I hear you, man, but I don't think I can make it, man. I'm having a problem, right now, my shoe is not able to, I can't open it up to tie it, man. Right now, I don't think I can, So, essentially, they had a check for me there.
I remember that.
I told them, I said, listen, I can't take a check. Everybody here has to be getting a check. Everybody here has to be getting a check. I'm not asking what they're getting, but everybody here has to be getting a check.
I don't remember what those checks were.
They were. I mean, who knows what who knows?
Helped.
But I never look into nobody else's wallet. I mean, I'll tell you what they gave me.
I want to say I looked at one. I looked at one time. I never cashed any, but I want to say.
Where are they? Give me out.
Reggie always said that you never cashed your complex checks.
Yeah, I never cashed any of them.
How much? I'm just Braids.
I feel like it might have been $335.
No. It had to be more than that.
Yeah, it was more.
It was about $500
for you. Just Blaze.
You had about 1,000 maybe.
First of all, we had to rent the helicopter.
I did have to rent a helicopter once to make it to one of the shows. I figured why. I think it was going to. I was coming from a wedding.
Did they try to finesse when the Black Thought episode when you used the Nautilus
the Bob
instrumental?
James thing, right? Yeah.
The Bob James, right? And they said they had to pay sample clearance for that. And that was like a big.
They might have had to pay a usage fee.
And they was like, you can't do that no more, or some shit.
Yeah, after that,
they do have to
playing
pay.
like.
Yeah, they have to pay a license fee. So at that point, you're
but I don't think they foresaw that.
But it's something that I want to say real quick because it's like we talk about the show and then the complex and everything. And like I said, when I first came on the show, I was instantly a fan of what we were doing there because I grew up a fan of different radio shows like Stern and then Dr. Demento and just a lot of really weird shit. And so when I saw this done for hip hop, it was something I'd never seen. And then even the complex shit is something that I feel like now everyone is doing exactly the blueprint that we laid out. Or trying.
Or some variation.
Or some variation of it. You know, and it's just interesting to see it because even now when people they'll, tell me, yo, the Combat Jack show and everything y'all do is like some legendary shit. But to have been a part of it, it's different to being on the outside of it where you don't get to see that. It's just being here like with y'all, my family and shit. And even like you said, we're like a dysfunctional family because like me and you, we've almost fought. Everyone's had all kind of wild shit.
Oh, I would say
we're not gonna gloss over that. We're gonna definitely get into that.
But that's like with all of us. But that's the thing. It's like y'all are my brothers. Like you said, like I've known, like I'm the same type of dude who I've had when I went to Howard. I've known those cats from Howard, like my brothers from Howard, for years. Longer than cats who I grew up with. But even with y'all, like y'all, I've known. I don't know how many years now, but it's less than that. But I feel like I know y'all like I've known them. Or like I've known cats who I grew up with.
Yeah,
so it's all the same thing.
Relationships have been that intimate amongst us. I mean, it's been...
yo.
Listen.
Hey, yo.
Long nights.
I want to also give Reg a salute for... I mean, this wasn't his final form, but this was another evolution on his part where he became kind of like, I don't want to say Charlie Rose, maybe we could say Dick Cavett or Phil Donahue, but where he had become this consummate interviewer.
Right.
And, he didn't need the peanut gallery.
Peanut gallery. I was about to say the peanut
around
gallery.
him. He didn't need the all the other things going on around him. And I was very excited for him. I mean, I don't want to say Charlie Rose because Charlie Rose got Me Too'd, but but just somebody that's a great interviewer. That's someone who has a deep connection to the person that they're talking to, and makes you interested in what their story is.
Even Brian.
Oh yeah. Well, one thing I will say for people who don't know, I'm sure some people have heard, but one thing Reggie did was, he would study that person the day before, or maybe one day, even same day, or the day before, and he would shut his phone off and he would power it. I remember I would call him like, yo, I got to get these notes. I was like, all right, all right, yeah, you get your fucking notes, and I'm
He's shine box
Get
too.
your fucking notes.
and because he was like, he had to be serious to be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he had to be like, I gotta go, and he literally, would watch every and I learned a lot from him. He would watch every interview, read every article, and then formulate his own questions. And before you know it, he would come up with 25 to 50 to 100, but not questions like an interview, more of like conversations. He was that good to morph into the long form content. And keep in mind, when you asked Ice-T or a Chuck D, as again, I want to say this, it's not that many years ago, to do a podcast, they're like, what the fuck is a podcast? So when they sat down and you heard their story, now if anybody in this room say has a podcast, you ask Ice-T, 80 people asked me already.
Well,
No, not no more. But at the end of the day, the point I'm making is he at that time really prepared like nobody had ever seen before prepared.
Yeah, and that part of that too is he was a fan of the art. He was a fan of the guests that was on the show. It wasn't just the press run or who. It was like, man, like Michael Eric Dyson. You can't fuck around with Michael Eric Dyson.
No.
You have to have a in-depth conversation.
Sure.
So it's like it's. I don't mean to be cliché, but I feel like him passing definitely left a void in that regard. Yeah. Like
he was a compelling storyteller too, bro.
Yeah.
The Spotify
mogul.
Well, no, the that was crazy. But I'm talking about when he's talking about the garage.
Yeah, well, he had a way to speak where you could actually smell.
Yeah,
and,
it was
and
amazing.
hear and
You felt like you were there.
experience. Yeah,
Exactly.
he had a way to explain. You know, that's what people die for these days. Like, tell the story so people who had never been there before can actually.
And
know
he
what it
was
sounds
there.
like. Yeah,
he was there. That's another thing about what's going on now. That kind of is weird to me because it's kind of like people reminisce on a time that they didn't live in.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? They talk to shit that they didn't experience. Whereas Reggie actually experienced so many
eras
and from different perspectives as a blogger, as a podcaster, and as an attorney. Like a real live high level attorney. When, you know, like when hip hop
in the midst of when it
not
when
just
it turned
the guy
insane,
making
too.
photocopies.
Exactly.
Yeah, like when hip
a
hop
guy with his own
really went out of
name
control.
on the firm.
It's
Cufflinks.
Yeah, so like
turtlenecks.
100%. And
But also just
cowboy
also
boots.
just a dude who was out in the streets at
100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean as well.
But a nerd for sure.
Also,
a super nerd.
super nerd.
I would say more of a geek.
Okay,
Yeah, a geek
Well,
in the
however you wanna
80s,
say
in Brooklyn that went to an Ivy League college, right? Like those are
And
experiences.
then it
that-
went in D.C., you know, where he was right next to Howard in the early 90s. So
Right.
he's also, you know, with all that, too. So
But there was also in the garage in biker shorts.
There you go.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like yo,
Singlet. He had a singlet.
Like,
He had a
there's-
singlet.
Yeah, singlet.
There's a guys that travel through this culture and many eras, man. And it's like there are guys his age now, close to his age now, who are podcasting, speaking to the culture that have not. They didn't leave, my brother.
Yeah.
They were looking out the window, watching Reggie ride by
Yeah.
in his bike shorts, right? Like that's a fact.
You know-
Reggie was outside.
living
He was
it.
also
Living it.
Also a hype beast. You know why? I'll tell you the
Oh,
story
man.
real quick.
He bought his first pair of Jordans at 46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, check this out.
How's he hype
I'll never forget one time he brought some guy.
He's a late.
He brought some
late
guy and
bloomer.
girl to the store, and the guy came, and the guy had on like a skirt, shorts. And I was
Skirt
like,
or shorts?
skirt shorts. I don't know.
So it was like shorts
It was
with,
riding
like a
bike
skirt
type
with
shit.
shorts under it?
Yo, hold on.
Was it a kilt?
So I remember I walk out and I look at Combat and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this guy? And he's like, stop. She plays tennis. He plays tennis with Serena Williams. I'm like, I don't give a fuck who he plays for. This guy got fucking a skirt short on, you know? And he was like, I'll tell you one thing. That's one thing I learned later on is he knew how to move with anybody. You know, he could have moved with the weirdos and the
Yeah.
different people and
That comes
street
from
people.
being
Yeah.
in New York at a certain time, right?
Right,
At a time
exactly.
period. Being outside,
Right.
Yeah.
experiencing real life
Yeah.
outside,
one-
not chasing kids and trying to talk how they talk. It's a different world, bro.
One episode I would like to refer everybody to listen to if you haven't is the Sadat X episode with Dallas and Reg, and they're talking about their experiences coming up in the 80s, you know, hip hop, the nighttime scene, and the drugs, and
Right.
you know, the alleged potential usage of those drugs.
Drogas.
Drogas. Woolly
Internets.
blunts.
You are listening to a podcast called Talkitecture.
Talkitecture.
Yo, always, rest in peace to our brother Combat Jack, but it doesn't stop. And I'll tell you what, we're going to take one more quick break because the final guest we've got tonight, man, is someone very, very important, very dear to Reg, very important inside hip-hop culture. All right, so don't go anywhere, internets, because this episode is not done yet.
But Dallas, what the fuck is going on tonight, B?
Yo, Thugged Out Militainment took over this
Thugged Out.
joint.
It's like how many cats is in this booth right now?
Like you fucked up by fucking his deal up earlier.
I hope not.
He got the shooters in here. He got the stabbers in here. He got the cats that strangle people with neckties.
Yo, technically, Reggie was my first lawyer.
Yes.
Technically.
Yo, internets.
Introduce this man.
Internets.
Yeah.
I want to introduce to y'all to the Combat Jack Show.
Right.
Noriega, Poppy.
Yes.
And whatever other name he goes by. Whatever.
Shit. N-O-R-E. N-O-R-E.
Give me a round of applause.
Yes.
Noriega.
Good to see you. Good to see you, nigga. Good to see you.
Before we start.
Yeah.
Because this shit has haunted me.
That's you know what? It's great. I never heard your side.
Right.
Out of everything, I heard Trash side. I heard Capone didn't even care about what side, but I've never heard your side. So that's dope.
So my side is this.
Yeah.
Your deal happened. You guys,
Right.
were a brand new group.
Yes.
They were signing through Tragedy.
Yes,
Through
true.
25 to Life
Yes.
to Penalty.
100%.
Penalty was a brand new
100%.
label. Your deal was done, I think it was like a week before Christmas, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Right?
I don't remember that,
It
but
was a week before Christmas. And I'm not making any excuses.
Okay.
So I got the deal. And
Right.
usually I've done like hundreds of deals
Right.
with Tommy Boy. So
Right.
I'm reading the Penalty deal. I'm like, good. It's done. Let's get this money. Let's
Right.
close this shit.
Right.
Next thing I know, a couple months later, Tragi's like, yo, you fucked up the publishing. And that shit, trust me. Like I've done hundreds of deals, but that shit fucked with me.
Right.
So for the first time, face to face, I gotta apologize to you.
That's fantastic.
Nah,
This is fantastic.
I'm saying,
Because I ain't gonna lie, a couple years ago I wanted to kill you, man.
I know you did.
Did you know that?
I know you
knew
did.
that? All right,
Because
cool.
I was up in the Hamptons
Right.
when your first album, your solo album, blew up, and some chicks that was staying in the
Right.
house was like,
Right.
yo, Nori's like, yo, fuck Reggie Osse.
Yeah.
I was like,
Maybe.
So anyway,
Maybe.
so tell it.
But it's love. It's love. It's love.
Yes.
We are back.
I want a curtain on that
We are
window.
back. What a beautiful night tonight.
A partition.
In tribute to our dude, Reggie Osse, man.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Man, we miss this dude, man, and I'm glad that everybody that came through tonight. I'm glad that everybody that came through tonight had that love and brought that vibe.
Turn that one on. That one is on?
Okay. All right. Oh, we told him to turn it on.
Now T turned it back on.
All right, bet. We got all our mics lined up.
Yeah.
This is just like the PNC days. Okay?
Yeah.
But we didn't know what the hell was happening.
How far y'all come?
Yeah. No, look, we are still at the bottom. Okay, started at the bottom, Michael Pratt.
And we still here.
It's still at the bottom.
I'm right here with you.
But we're mad influential now.
Right
Okay.
here.
Call him.
We're so influential now, I like to call us power bottoms.
Damn.
Okay.
Power
bottles.
Hey yo.
Did you say power bottoms?
Yes, he did.
We just talking crazy. We just talking
That's what
crazy
happens when
here.
you're influential, but you're low level.
Me 7.
You're power bottom.
Our next guest
On
here.
that note, I think I'm leaving.
No, just you sit right there.
We got to take a group picture.
You sit right here and be a power bottom?
Yeah, we got to take a group picture.
You sit right there, brother. Internets, our next guest, our final guest for this Reg Osse tribute is somebody who is a mentor to our good brother Reg and still in the game. I mean, this is a rough game when you talk about the entertainment industry.
Oh, yeah.
And it changes a lot of people. It makes a lot of people gain weight. Makes a lot of people get all kind of surgeries done.
Tweet too much.
All kind of stuff.
Depression.
But here's somebody who has been in the game for several decades.
Damn, you making me sound real old, man.
Nah, not old. But you haven't gone for no surgeries.
No.
You haven't gone for no stomach stapling.
No.
You know?
I've had some surgeries. I've had some rotator cuff surgeries.
that's from playing
You know what I'm saying? Herniated disc
I'm talking about when you get
surgery.
your nose fixed,
That's
brother.
from your lacrosse tournament.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about where you got your nose fixed. I'm talking about where you know.
No. I've been blessed so far, man. You know, I'm trying my best to stay around for a while. I got money to make.
Dig that. Dig that. That's that talk.
I can't make that money laying in the hospital bed. You know.
That's that talk. Mr. Bob Celestin.
Celestin. No, Celestin. There you go.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Man, thanks for having me, guys. This is really an honor. Appreciate it really, really much. And I appreciate all of y'all for really honoring Reggie.
Yes.
Think about him often. And, he was very, very proud of the Combat Jack show. I remember when he sent me a little clip of the Chris Lighty episode.
The mogul joint, yeah.
And he's like, Bob, what you think? I was always surprised that he really was concerned about what I thought about him, about certain things. You know what I mean? I always like, yeah, Reggie, you're going to be all right. But he's like, but what do you think, Bob? What do you think? Did you listen to it? I'm like, yeah, that shit was kind of fire, son. Man. I'm like, I was impressed. Because, I didn't really see him that way. I knew him as an attorney, young, vibrant. We had our little battles back and forth when we were representing, we sat on the other side of the table. And then when he started getting into the podcasting, I was like, man, one of the things I really respected about him was that he was really following his creative muse. You know what I mean? Like, I always respected him going after, the things that he wanted to do, but on a creative level. And it didn't dawn on me how powerful an influence he was in terms of like forwarding the culture, until close to when he passed, So I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Wow.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Bob, did you help Reggie get his start inside the music industry?
Yeah, I mean, Reggie had expressed an interest in doing entertainment law. So the thing that I did was I referred him to a colleague of mine, a guy named Andy Tavel, who was doing business affairs at Def Jam. And, I called him up. I said, I got my cousin, but, I'm not just telling you about him because he's my cousin. He's really smart. He's hungry. He's going to really, he wants to get into the game, and he's going to be hungry and do what needs to be done. And he got his first internship over at Def Jam in the business affairs department. And the rest, as they say, is history. So from that perspective, he asked me, you wanted to do it? I was like, are you serious? Like, yeah. He said, I'm dead ass. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll do the recommendation. And, he did me proud, did me proud.
Dig it. Y'all, I'm doing some administrative stuff, so y'all can talk with Bob also while we.
Feel free to talk to me. Y'all can talk to me.
3 chicken wings left.
I have a question. Since you knew him personally, not as much as the podcast, did you ever have a moment where you heard in the news like something about Combat Jack, and you maybe didn't know that was his moniker at that time?
No, I knew that was his. He once gave me a funny moniker one time, right?
Oh, what was it?
D'Artagnan. D'Artagnan, he gave me some name, I forgot what it was. Like I was looking for a password for an internet, for your email and everything. Yeah. Man, call yourself D'Artagnan. So when he called himself Combat Jack, it was sort of like, it was like comic bookish, you know what I mean? And, I was very much into comic books. I think I helped influence him on that too. Him and my brother Fritz, they very much into comics. I have 30,000.
What was your titles?
Man, I got the first Black Panther, Spider-Man, X-Men, most of the Marvel stuff, and some DC stuff too.
So you didn't do. I was gonna say. So what did you do any DC?
Oh yeah, I did a lot of DC. That was kind of how I learned to read. Really, you know what I mean? Like I always tell people, if you have those of you out there listening who have kids and you have trouble keep reading, that seems to be a big problem with our generation. Like nobody wants to read. I'm like, well, read comic books. It kind of breaks you into reading, and Stanley and his dialogue, used to be really on point. Excelsior and all these different things.
Part of the reason why I used to name the characters that he did was because it was easy for kids to read and pronounce, like Peter Parker, Betty Brant,
right? Alliteration, sure.
Right.
It was easy for kids to get and remember the names, right? And so, which was kind of genius. I never thought about that. He was doing an interview. He was like, "Why do you think all my characters start and end with the same letter?"
Very, very simple, right? But so Reggie was into that. So the Combat Jack thing was like, yeah, when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, that sounds like you, Reggie.
Was there anyone he interviewed that you were like, oh damn? They kind of, you said you were always impressed by his work, but
I gotta tell you, the Chris Lighty thing has really stood out for me. That really, because it was just so like he was like a pro. I'm like, yo, you've really come of age. The way that interview went, the way he, the questions he asked, you know what I mean? It was like. And I knew Chris Lighty, and I was like, whoa, you're really doing this, bro. You're really doing this. And so I was, that really impressed me. I mean, I heard from time to time different shows, and I like the banter among you guys, obviously the cancer episode was really, when he got out of the hospital and he was talking about that shit really, because he was able to turn something that was really a real negative and kind of try to put a positive spin to it, So that was really poignant for me, I was like, wow, anybody else would have been I know I would have been fucked up. I'm not I'm not making a joke about the shit. I would have been fucked up, and and I know he was scared, and I remember when he called me, I knew he was scared, but he just tried to make it, the listeners feel like, okay, it's gonna be all right, so.
He's Combat Jack.
That's he's Combat Jack, exactly.
I lost it. I'm sorry, I forgot my question.
It happens.
Hopefully we can edit that in post.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to edit that because we're just digging this vibe.
Oh, I was going to ask how knowing once he transitioned into the podcasting, knowing him then. Personality-wise, just attitude-wise, did he seem a little more?
He was freer. He was freer.
See,
you know what I mean?
I was going to say free.
That's what I wanted to get to because we are familiar with Reg post you know I'm an attorney, right?
Correct.
I want a little bit of insight and background on Reg as he's this young attorney, as he's interning at Def Jam. Like what did you see with him then that would make you say, okay, you know what, he's gonna make it in this game?
You know, Reggie and the late Ed Woods and a bunch of like Matt Middleton, a bunch of these other young black attorneys, they brought like a fresh new, I call them the hip hop lawyers, right? They brought the culture, and they inserted the culture into a profession that's usually real corny. You know what I mean? They added a little flavor to it. They added some youth to it. They added energy to it, right? Like you could still be an attorney and rock your Timbs. You know what I mean? Like you could still be an attorney and have some swag to you, right? And I always envisioned myself being a little bit like that too. But you know, being able to see them do it was really, really like inspiring for me, right? Because here you are, you know, they're intelligent, you know. They're aggressive. They're fighting for their clients, just the way I'm fighting with my clients. But they had a little more swag to it, and I think that helped them identify with the clients more. You know what I mean? Now, you know, Reggie, I would say was constant. Like he was quick to laughter, quick to, you know, turn something negative into a positive. You know what I mean? Like he always had that. But even then, you're still an attorney, and you're kind of constrained to some extent in terms of you know. How much of the culture you really can really express, you know. It wasn't until he moved away from that and said, okay, I want to get into the arts and really explore the creative aspects of my personality that he just seen me free. He was free.
Freed himself
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other thing too I respected about him too was like, you know, he was married and he was a father. You know what I mean? Like I was like, wow, you know, you know, like you're doing all this, and you know that's a lot of pressure to some extent to have, you know, a family you got to take care of, you know, a wife you got to take care of. So I have to, you know, shout out, you know, his wife and the kids, because at the end of the day, you know, to indulge someone who's trying to do something creative when he should be maybe at a 9 to 5, you know what I mean, consistently making money, whatever. That says a lot, you know what I mean? So he was able to, you know, he had a little certain foundation early on that allowed him to be able to explore some of the creative aspects of his personality, you know, and get it to the point where he could be in his position to really take care of the family, you know? That's the one thing that I respected about him, because, you know, I never got married and I don't have any kids. So to be married and have kids and to try to do your own shit, and, you know, in an area that is not the most financially stable at times, says a lot.
And certainly not really forgiving either for what you may have going on other than the work.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. Absolutely.
So, my voice is dry. Hold on.
Yeah, because I can barely manage, like, between having one kid.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
And I struggle trying to just, you know, hold down what I got to hold.
My hat's off to you, brother.
Man,
I got mad respect for you, man. Especially if you being a good father and you're trying to be a good husband, man. I got to give you credit, man.
And that's the tough part. I deal with that every day. It's like the balance of trying to maintain the home life, maintain the family life. Not just making sure that the bills are paid.
Right. But being a presence.
Being part of the unit.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Presence over presence.
Right. Because some Jews will be like, I'm a great father because all the bills are paid and because everything is taken care of.
You're supposed to do that.
Right.
You know, like you don't get extra credits for that.
Exactly. But your kids see you once a month.
Correct.
That's
where the problem is.
That's not the move.
Well, and then even just finding the energy to pursue a new endeavor after all of that, right? Instead of staying and bringing home that consistent check and making sure you're providing, like you're saying, you know what, I'm gonna jump out. Like even the thought.
And you got to remember, this was a time where like the industry was on the rocks. You know what I mean? It's now.
Rockefeller came through.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Really
I mean, you know, there was a point, you know, when the industry, you know, Napster came and all that piracy and everything. I really felt that. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit. And so, you know, he had to practice. Like, it's, in a way, you can make the argument that because of Napster and the disruption of the music business at that time. Yeah. He was in a law firm, right? And, you know, it was him, it was Ed, it was a couple other brothers, you know, and it was hard to sustain that because record labels were cutting back. And so when they're cutting back, you know, as an entertainment attorney, you make money on the strength of the clients that are coming to you that record labels are trying to sign, right? That's really where you get your bread and butter in terms of being able to negotiate those deals, getting a percentage, and keep it moving on. When that happened, you know, it kind of like, okay, well, this is not going to work. So what else is it that I really want to do, you know? And for me, it was a different scenario because it was like, okay, I was co-managing a group called City High that came out with Wyclef and dealt with Jimmy Iovine.
What was that girl's name again?
Claudette Ortiz.
Claudette Ortiz.
Right. It was two guys, two black guys and a Puerto Rican girl.
You still looking for her, Mike?
Still got a crush on her.
Everybody had a crush on her. So, you know, when that record came out, you know, that really helped sustain me, and it was me and this other guy. And
What would you do? Was that the name of the record?
No,
what would you do if your son was having?
Okay.
It's a big record, you know. And unfortunately, she decided that she'd rather be a mother, not once, but twice. And by one of the guys in the group. And that was sort of like the end of that. But that helped sustain me. You know, I don't have any kids, you know, so I'm not married. So it helped sustain me because I was like, well, what else am I going to do? You know, I had some colleagues that wanted to get into film. They said, all right, let's get into film law. Because that wasn't hit as hard as far as from a piracy perspective was concerned. And you know, I've dabbled a little bit, but to me it was that it's not you don't get the immediacy that you get, or at least I don't get the immediacy that I get that when somebody sends me an MP3 of a record. Like you feel it, you know it.
You
whatever.
are a dyed in the claw, dyed in the wool.
Tekashi.
Music attorney. Hold on for a second.
XXX and not Tentacion.
We're gonna get to
DJ Self.
Guys.
Designer.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
He's their attorney.
And listen,
he's still here.
Still here.
Stop.
And I'm about to hire him. I'm about to put out an album. Fuck it.
Let's do it. You know what I mean?
This guy, you on your campaign right now?
Wait a minute.
But we but look, internet.
So Bob, I mean, listen. I remember
this guy asked me if you were
Reggie had hit the wall. He had hit the wall.
Wait, what?
He whispered to me earlier, you think he's on Tinder? I was like,
I was swiping trying to find. I couldn't see it.
Okay.
That would be a negative.
On that note, internets.
Bob, Reggie had hit the wall.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, listen, man, I just couldn't deal with it anymore. Because when the time came for guys to move into a bigger deal, the white man's ice was colder. The white man's law was more lawyery. And he just said, I had enough. So he left to reinvent himself. I feel like inside that move is the courage that we should all look to say, hey, listen, wait a minute. I've got a family. I'm married. You know, I'm going to have to make something happen. Positive.
That's the essence of hip hop, though. Making something out of nothing.
Yes. Remixing.
You know what I mean, you're living the ethos of hip hop culture. You know, from my perspective, I really haven't had that much problems, you know, in terms of I had a couple of clients leave, whatever. But for the most part, you know, I will say that I have a career primarily on the strength of the culture. Like the culture has sustained me in a very, very, you know, very, very good way.
What kept you going when things did get rough in terms of like the piracy, the deals, you know, the money slowing down? I
mean, the fact of the matter is, you know, there are still people that so what happened was now real estate was big. Remember 2008, 2000, you know, before 2008, real estate was the big thing. So I had an influx. So I had an influx of clients that had real estate people like, yo, I want to get into the game. Right. So they weren't necessarily getting big deals, but they had money to set up an independent label. You know, they had their cousin or their, you know, their girlfriend's son or whatever that wanted to get into the game, and they were spending money, you know. So again, my overhead wasn't high. You know, I wasn't one of those guys that, you know, I got to get a Rolex, so I'm driving a Benz, whatever. I'm cool. So I was able to sustain myself. You know, I mean, it wasn't easy. I remember coming to my office. I had an office on 57th Street, and there was an eviction notice on the door. At one point, I was like, shit, you know. I mean, it was tough, but I was like, what else am I going to do, you know? Right. I'm not, you know, I worked for the white man, did that when I got out of law school. I worked for the black man. I said, now I'm working for myself. I'm not going back to, I'm not built to work for somebody and having somebody else tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. So I just, what am I going to, you know, I'm going to make it right. And I had to have faith that, you know what, this is, you know, it's going to turn around. There's other ways, you know, black people are still making hip hop. It ain't changed like that. So sooner or later, there's going to be another way to monetize the situation.
Internet's Bob Celestin claims to be Haitian, but I think he might be Jamaican.
Nah, I'm Haitian, bro.
With all the jobs that this man
100% Haitien. Who comprend?
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob, for taking the time to come with us.
Nah, man, it's an honor. Thanks for coming down here, man.
On this journey tonight.
And if I can ever come to your show and drop some, information up to you, I'd love to do it.
Did nobody else catch that? Are you doing this on purpose?
Yes.
What did he just do?
Are we just ignoring it now? Is that what we're doing?
Yo,
I'm gotta wrap because they're kicking us out.
I'm half slumped. I'm half slumped over here, man. Yo, anyone at home listening to this, man, pause where necessary. But this is a podcast called Talkitecture. We had a special episode, man. It's a tribute. It's in memoriam to our brother Reggie Osse.
May rest in peace, man.
Yes, I want to give a special thank you to Akim and Chuma Osse, actually now known as.
I don't know him.
I don't know him.
IDK him.
IDK.
Oh, that's his name. IDK him.
IDK him.
Project called
Who
Cares.
Okay. Yes, the project released today.
Good luck
Who cares?
to him
It's out today.
with that. Yo, that's great.
It's out today on all streaming platforms. Make sure you cop that.
Who cares? Who cares? Yo, shout out to the
Tech Music
Combat
fan.
Jack Show members that came through.
Show 'em my bad
Just
side.
Blaze, DJ Benhameen, Premium Pete. Premium Pete came through with the pizza, the Italian pizza. Oh my God! Shout out to Mecca's Kitchen.
Yes.
Mecca's Kitchen, what up?
Yo, we gotta shout out my brother Fritz Celestin, man.
Fritz.
Gotta do Fritz, man.
Fritz Celestin,
What up,
man.
Fritz?
Fritzo. Yo, who brought all these bottles?
One thing we didn't get to talk about.
That was courtesy of Chris Morrow and Tech Music fan right here.
Oh, right. Tech Music fan. Thank you,
He bought
brother.
the wine, Yo, don't take. Come on, man.
We didn't get to talk about
Damn, son.
the send-off party.
Oh yeah.
I just want to say that was like a personal moment for me. Like it was like a Beach Street moment. It was like the remote party, like being there and having me kind of spearheading putting that together.
Yeah.
And it was very nerve-wracking at first because there was just a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. But then you get to that night, and New York is a late city, so when you get there and nobody's there yet, you're like freaking out.
That's real facts.
Yeah, and it's like, but then I'm like, all right, dude, you've been doing this for 20 years. You know that nobody shows up right on time.
Yeah.
But by the end of the night, to see the amount of love in that building, I mean, we all have
Crazy.
but to see the amount of love and presence and honor and respect being paid in that building.
I can still feel the love.
It's crazy that it's been a year.
Brother Brish just came in the room. He said we're going to have to pay all the talent dues if we don't get up out of here.
We out.
Brother
Rest in
Brish
peace,
coming with
Reggie.
the
Love you, bro.
events. All right, internets. Again, it's a podcast called
$40 each.
Talkitecture. Make sure you follow us for other episodes. We will definitely have Bob Celestin back with us again. We will definitely have I Don't Know Him back again to chop it up with us. And again, listen to some old.
I only come through as if I get polo deliveries.
Yo, Just Blaze, always your presence, always exciting for me. Exciting for me. All right, y'all. Talkitecture. Thank y'all for tonight. The Talkitecture podcast is a presentation of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to Combat Jack. Episodes are executive produced by A. King and Dallas Penn. All episodes are engineered superbly by Brother Christopher. 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 By Brother Christopher.